so got 4 of the Shady Moose.
Cool.
Put these in my humidor, which was around 69, 70 for about a day. So don't know how they'll smoke. Picked them up on Thursday, yesterday. So I got 4 of those, and then I got you an extra something, just because all the generosity and hosting all this, and the good beef jerky and all that. Cool. $7.75 is what that cost, but looked interesting. So
Buffalo 10 natural.
Cool. That one's for you. And
Dominican Republic.
Sure. Shady Moose. So feel free to smoke whatever you want, obviously. 4 rows of single barrel and whatever the heck this was. Rebel 100. And then Dom's coming back from Gunnison.
Yeah, I guess that's what he said. That was what, 11:20 he posted that, so
That guy's crazy. It's like, if I can hire a guy, I'll be there.
yeah.
And then it's like, I'm coming back from Gunnison.
Yeah.
What do you get up to, dude?
He's all over the place.
Mysterious man. We'll have to ask him how the Mormon thing went, if he met up with them.
Oh right.
Remember that?
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was his Sunday family friend get together thing where they
Yeah. So not a lot has happened since the last episode. Trump hurt his ear.
jeez.
And
That's pretty much it.
He fell down on the stage, according to CNN.
picked his running mate, Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration, if you will.
Did you see someone did a meme of if CNN wasn't around in 1960 whatever, and it was JFK falls down hard in his, limousine or whatever.
Bangs his head against the dash.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right.
Harvey Oswald pushes.
Take that cutter if you're.
Shoves a bullet out of his gun.
Yeah. This one down?
Yes.
Man, even people like Cenk from Young Turks, you know him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like always like belligerently, I'd put them up there with like, what would you call them, like provocateurs, you know? They're just like saying really divisive, like incendiary stuff, and he's always railed on Trump and had like TDS real bad.
Yeah.
And he of all people was like, I've called him a coward a lot, but that time he was not a coward.
I don't know that I would have stood right back up and fist pumped the air and while shots are still being fired.
Crazy, man. And what is this about Biden agreeing to step down if people want him to? How that's all going to go?
There's a lot of rumors coming out of his administration. I guess the Obamas kind of leaked a little bit of something. Sounds like Nancy Pelosi's been making the rounds, talking about how they need to find a replacement for him. And then he came out yesterday or the day before or whatever and said that he would step aside if he had a health condition. Which seemed kind of cryptic and weird. Like, well, you got COVID right now. Does that qualify? Or so, but replacing him would be tricky too, because
If it's not Kamala, they lose all their funding, right?
yep, all that money they raised just stays with Biden. So if she's the nominee, then probably makes the most sense for them. Because it's just so late in the game,
But
though.
she will not win.
No. She's polling worse than he is. And Trump would just eviscerate her in a debate.
Do you think the assassination attempt is basically just like a guarantee election for Trump?
It's going to help him.
It's definitely going to help him. And that's some of the most iconic imagery.
I know. Like
Flag behind him.
the photographer got the crazy shot. I've probably heard some of the absolute worst takes ever since
Oh,
that
man.
assassination.
Oh man.
Like just with what people are just saying online, and just like certain like even content creators are just saying some of the worst things ever, and people are like, a man almost died today, and a man did die actually, like an actual. Like,
you see what Destiny said? The
yeah,
streamer?
that's what I'm talking about. Yes, dude is unhinged.
And I actually kind of like that guy. Like I think he's kind of interesting. Like his story.
He's at least willing to dialogue, but the thing he said was
Like, dude.
He's like, I don't.
Cool.
He doesn't
and then the
condone.
whole
Yeah.
Tenacious D thing.
Yeah. So Tim.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Tim Cast.
I don't know his last name.
Tim Pool.
Tim Pool. He calls it the Tim Cast or whatever.
That's the name of his podcast.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Tim Pool. he had heard some information. He's like, well, actually, what went down is obviously he says something stupid, and they weren't just out of the goodness of their heart going to go ahead and cancel their tour because he said that their insurance company is like, we can't insure you if you're saying stuff like that, so they pulled their insurance. And then
That's where Jack Black.
and then the tour company are like, if you don't have like liability insurance or whatever, it's like we got to cancel the whole tour and the show and everything. So they tried to make it look like
I see.
we're trying to
That makes a
look
little bit more
virtuous
sense.
and apologize, but it's actually they got canceled basically because of what he said. The insurance company won't do business with them.
That's crazy.
I sometimes wonder, like, when people say things like that, because like the Destiny thing is one thing because he's like being articulate and political, but like Kyle Gass just kind of making that joke on stage.
Yeah.
It's like, do you think people like that actually like authentically feel that way, or are they just trying to like they have their opinions and they like to poke?
I think a lot of people are kind of half joking, and I think he was just kind of thought it'd be funny.
In the inflection
that.
in his voice, it didn't sound. I mean, it did sound a little sinister, but it was also like half in jest.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that people can like just say things like that was nuts.
I don't know if you follow Libs of TikTok at all.
No, but I'm very familiar.
Started out with one gal, I can't remember her name, and she would just go and screen record what crazy woke people are saying on Instagram and TikTok, and then just repost it. So it's no original content. And now she's got a whole team that just like scour the
Yeah.
Twitter and everywhere for stupid
I mean,
content.
that's basically what like the big journalists do is, or big publications is like have people scour the internet for content and then like bring us the good stuff.
Yep. So
That could be your
They-
job, Riley.
Yes.
they've been working feverishly reposting all the influential people that are basically saying, oh, on Twitter or wherever, oh, can't believe that guy missed. Shoot, I hope they get him next time. Or I wish his aim was a little bit better. So there's a fire captain in Pennsylvania that said that publicly on Twitter or wherever, and he has since resigned.
Didn't a firefighter get killed because of this? Like, wasn't that the guy that got shot?
The guy that had his head blown off in the crowd, he was a firefighter there
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania. Several teachers, actually quite a few teachers, a couple of them have already resigned. A school board member, don't remember where she's at. The executive director of the Board of Chiropractic Examiners in Oregon, saying a bunch of crap. So, I mean, they keep posting stuff over and over because, like, gosh, like if you're thinking that, like, you should probably keep your mouth shut. Like that, it's not a good look to be like, oh, tried to assassinate former president. You better aim better next time. It's like, gosh.
I mean, everybody has murder in their hearts a little bit, right? So like, it doesn't surprise me. Like even like some people on, I don't like to say our side, but a simple way of putting it, get like close to saying some things where I'm like, you're a little too like
yeah.
vindictive about this right now.
Yeah.
Like I understand it's politics that affects us personally, but like you can't hate Obama with every fiber of your being and like say these kinds of things.
Agreed.
So it's like I feel that way all across the board. Like anytime you say something like that about somebody, then like you need to be held accountable a little bit.
Yeah, I don't like the name calling. Like that's one thing I don't like about Trump is
Some of them are kind of fun.
Some of them are funny, and it's part of what makes him special, I guess, is he's so good at that. And just the quick, witty comebacks, like in the debate with Hillary at that town hall, or talking about, police and getting arrested. And he's like, I'm going to throw you in jail if you don't want to become president. I mean, just classic Trump. But, just, I don't know, making fun of people, not my favorite thing. And conservatives say libtard, call people libtards. It's like, it's just not intellectually honest. It's like if you want to like debate their policies or whatever, but that's like an ad hominem, right? Where you're just attacking them as a person, calling them a libtard. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I would never say that to anyone's face because, like, that just damages the discourse, and I care about the discourse more than I care about sharing my feelings.
Yep.
Which I don't even necessarily feel that way. I don't feel, like, vindictive towards politicians or people on the other side of the aisle at all.
Yep.
We're all human, but yeah.
And I think, it's fine making observations. Like, obviously, everyone's making observations now of Biden's mental state, which we've all been seeing for a while, and they were gaslighting us. That, what was the Karine Jean-Pierre was calling it cheap fakes. I mean, they're the masters of, like, coming up with, like, phrases and terms. Now, I mean, as soon as he was convicted, they're like, oh, convicted felon. Like, they're going to make hay with that. And then calling all us saying that Biden's stumbling and fumbling, calling it cheap fakes, and then we have the debate. It's like we've all been seeing it for a couple of years now. So either they've had their head in the sand or they only watch CNN. I don't know, but it's like,
This is my favorite Creed song.
Thank you.
Everything is Creed.
Well, but Creed.
no, don't do it. No, I'm joking.
So, started, I heard from Ethan, because we had streamed on Sunday, told me that he also, I don't know exactly how he phrased this, but is kind of like leaning off of alcohol. Like he was kind of abusing it a little bit, like after everyone had gone to bed.
Yeah.
And so he kind of slowed down on it, and he got me to thinking, like, I think I'm going to kind of do, like, because you guys talked about, like, trying to keep whiskey just out of the house all the time. Yeah. And, like, that's kind of my problem, too, is that, like, if it's there, I'll drink it.
Right.
And I don't do it in excess, but I can definitely tell that, like, when I do it, I get a little sluggish. I'm not as, like, responsible. I'm a little lazier. It's just harder to do basic tasks. And it was like, I'm just... Basically what's happening is I'm treating every evening like it's Friday night.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not partying or anything, it's like I'm being a little too leisureful.
Yeah.
So I was like, what I'm going to do? I'm going to not drink on weekdays.
Yeah.
Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when I'll drink.
Yeah.
So this is actually my first drink since Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Well done.
it's been really nice.
Yeah.
It's like strange to talk about it because, like, it seems like alcoholic adjacent, but I don't think it is. It's
Just being more mindful about what you're taking in.
It's also not even fully a dependency. It's just like I'm lazy, and so I'm just gonna reach for the thing that makes me, like, feel good, and when I'm feeling leisureful.
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm just being a lazy bum, and I need to, like, not inhibit myself and all that stuff. So that's most of what it's been, but energy levels have been nicer, and it's been good. So
Yeah, head's a little clear. You don't have the cobwebs every morning, and
so with that, the first sip. Yuck!
Where's my Diet Cola?
You guys ever watch any of those cleaning videos on YouTube where it's like someone cleans a hoarder's house for free?
I've seen the guy that, like, will volunteer to mow people's lawns and stuff. It's always got to be in the Midwest somewhere, because, like, there's, like,
the
Grass growing
like
on
3
the
feet tall.
sidewalk.
Yeah, it's like a little cornfield in the middle of the suburbs. Yeah, there's this channel that I came across, a guy who does this stuff. Like, he is autistic, and his wife has, like, OCD or ADHD or something.
Perfect pair.
Perfect pair. So, like, she, like, kind of leaves messes around everywhere, and he sort of tidies it up. But he runs, like, a cleaning business where he cleans people's houses, and he will offer to, like, clean, like, hoarders' houses or, like, elderly people's houses for free, and he makes content from it and just, like, sets up the camera, 1,000 speed, him cleaning a cabinet, and it's like, I bring this up because you brought up the, like, Diet Coke, and it made me think about, like, I saw one woman, like, older woman who was newly widowed within the last, like, 5 years, and her life just, like, deteriorated, but, like, she had collected Pepsi stuff. So she collected everything from memorabilia down to, like, 12-pack boxes. Just like consumed Pepsi like it was water.
Crazy.
And I think that's actually pretty common with older people.
Yeah.
So like if you grew up in the 50s through 70s, I think soda was way more common than it is with younger generations now. I could be wrong.
Have you seen there was like a news report of this older lady that basically just drank Dr. Pepper every day, and she's like, my doctor said that if I could drink Dr. Pepper every day, I'll die at the age of 78, and they're both dead.
And I consulted my third doctor, which was Dr. Pepper, and he said it's okay.
Yeah, but she's like, both those doctors are dead now, and she's like 108 or something, and like, but she's got like all this Dr. Pepper stuff all over her house and stuff.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, like, we didn't have really soda in the house. I remember,
Kind of because it was like a luxury, right?
yeah,
It
like
costs money.
Friday nights, sometimes we do like homemade pizzas. I don't know if that was a thing when you were younger
A
too.
little bit.
Sometimes mom would like roll out the dough, and then, you know, they'd get a 3-liter of big K soda.
Yeah, man. The
City
3
Market.
liters.
The 3 liter.
Like the dollar store sodas.
Yeah. And then going to grandma's growing up, and she lived in Colorado Springs. Like, they didn't drink soda, but if we were coming, she'd always load up on a bunch of 2 liters, and then every lunch and dinner, she'd put up the soda.
Wow.
And then Grandpa Henschel would always be like, "That's gonna rust your pipes." Still don't know what that means.
It's nice sentiment.
It's
though.
what's soda doing, then it's rusting your pipes.
I mean, sometimes it feels like that. I get, like, because I've been mostly off of soda for the last 5+ years, well, really 10 years. Like, there was a little bit where I went back to it again, but then I was like, ugh, need to get off.
Yeah.
It's like if I drink enough, like if I get like I'm craving like a Route 44 at Sonic, and I want to get like a cherry vanilla sweet cream Coca-Cola.
There you go.
Which is really great, by the way.
Yeah.
And I drink that, and I'll feel like it's like I'm sore.
Yeah.
Like that high fructose corn syrup's doing something.
Yeah, just jacks up your
Inflammatory.
inflammation, and yeah.
Not fun.
And the
I can't
problem
do it
is, the
anymore.
longer you're away from it, the worse it is. I mean, if you drink it every day, your body would sort of try to acclimate to it. But yeah, if you're away from it for a while, agreed.
Yeah, now I'm to the point where like the Zevias do the trick.
Yeah.
So, and actually, I have discovered, it's kind of my kryptonite. I found the secret weapon.
Yeah.
I'm Indiana Jones, and I found the treasure in the cave. You guys ever had Spindrift? It's a sparkling water. I think it's relatively new,
Okay.
but it's basically like a LaCroix or bubbly or anything like that, but it's also not sweetened, but
Okay.
it contains real fruit.
Do they have it at Sam's, maybe?
I don't know.
I've seen it somewhere, yeah.
Walmart, City Market, I believe, has it. And so it's like the lime one will literally just be like ingredients, carbonated water, lime juice.
Nice.
And I really dig that because I don't like that artificial
Yeah.
LaCroix thing. There's a few flavors I like of it, but overall I'm like not really
Not your
impressed
thing,
with
no.
most sparkling waters. But with this one, I was like, ooh, nice. So I tried some different flavors. They have one called No Hito because it's no alcohol, but it's literally just water, lime juice, mint.
Nice.
Oh, That's like become my main water. It's
Okay.
like I'll drink like 2 of those a day if I'm not stopped because it's just like cold from the fridge, like minty lime in the summer. Oh, highly recommend. So,
I'll have to try those.
yeah, if you drink any sparkling waters, that's the one to try.
Only sparkling water I've gravitated towards some of the liquid deaths because those are kind of good. I don't like
They
the
have flavors.
Yeah, they do the they just do regular water like mountain spring water.
That's the one that like they started with.
Yeah, regular, and then they also have a white can, which is just regular sparkling water, and then they do some flavored ones. They've also
The white one is not spring water.
No, so the black can one, the typical one, that's just regular mountain water.
Oh, it's not sparkling.
So the black one isn't, but then they have a white can
Okay.
that is sparkling.
Okay.
And it's the same. It's like mountain water but sparkling.
Gotcha.
And then they come out with like different ones. So like there's like a gold one that's like the mango one, I think. There's a silver one, which is the berry one. There's a green one, which is like the lime one. They're pretty good. I had one. I think I had a melon one that was like red. It was pretty good, but it's like it's not. It doesn't seem like too artificially in a way, but it's also it has enough flavor where you just don't feel like you're just drinking like the afterthought of a fruit or something.
Yeah.
And then they came out with teas as well, but I don't really like the teas. There's not really any sweetness to them at all.
Okay.
But I like that. Like that's kind of I don't really like it quite that much, but I do like the liquid death ones.
I like the limoncello LaCroix. That's the best one, I think. I like the key lime.
I haven't tried the key lime.
Key lime is better than the normal lime. It's a bit more tart. But yeah, I don't like that artificial feeling to it. It's just like I'd rather have something that just tastes like actual like lime or lemon juice or whatever.
It's, some of those, they almost get like perfumey.
Yeah.
It's like you're drinking
There's like a fragrance to
essence of lime
Yes.
that shouldn't be in your mouth. Should be a Glade plug-in on the wall or something.
it. Yep, exactly.
So Dom just texted, he's in Hotchkiss.
Okay.
Which means he must have come over Kebler Pass.
What's in Kebler Pass?
So that's the other way to get back and forth from here to Gunnison instead of going over Blue Mesa, the bridge there.
How far away is Hotchkiss?
So that's, well, probably didn't go with us, but when we went down to Gunnison for the 4th, we went over Kebler.
I think I did go over Kebler because I went camping over there, and I think I was in that area.
So you go into Delta, and then is it the first light? It's like the big 4-way light there in Delta. There's like city markets over to your right.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of restaurants in each corner. There's a gas station here. And then when you go through the light, you go through the main drag of Delta. Well, if you turn left there, then you head towards Hotchkiss, Paonia.
Yeah. Last summer when I went on a camping trip, I went through there. Yeah, so I know where this is.
And if you keep going, then you go over Kebler Pass, which is
I want to say I had one shoot in Hotchkiss. I haven't been there.
small
very
little
much.
town, pretty quaint. It's a really nice drive.
It's a cool area.
Who is covering this? Who is this?
Deftones.
They covered this?
Yeah.
Deftones still around? They doing it?
Oh,
They're having like a resurgence.
well, they're really big on TikTok.
In the last like 3 years, like they've gotten real big again.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but
Bigger than Incubus, probably.
Oh, like it's actually crazy how they're I kind of feel
And they're still touring and everything, right?
I don't know if they've done any recent tours, but I want to. This might sound kind of bad, but people are calling it like now it's like TikTokified and stuff, basically. But they like Deftones is really popular on TikTok, just using their sounds and stuff. But like, I mean, that's where I discovered Deftones was on TikTok, and
A
then
lot of people have gotten big on TikTok. It doesn't. I find it doesn't ruin things unless you're like on TikTok chronically.
yeah,
Because I've come across songs like from one TikTok and I look it up and I'm like, oh, I like this song, and everyone below is like, oh, I can't stand it anymore. It's on every TikTok. It's like, well, maybe get off TikTok.
Well, I find it bad when songs get popular off of TikTok, and that's where they were like birthed, like that's where they got popular 1st. But I feel like with Deftones and like a lot of other bands like that were popular before that.
It's like '93 when
Yeah.
Be Quiet and Drive came out, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I think like I think that when they're already popular once, and now just TikTok kind of boosted them up a little bit, and I think that's kind of cool. But no, like past like 3 years or so, they've kind of been coming up a little bit more, and
Also, younger generations are getting into all generations of music. Because I think that for a long time, like especially millennials, I don't think millennials are that interested in older music.
yeah,
Whereas like, kind of like I'm at the, I don't know when millennials end, but like 92.
I think it's like 94, 95 is the start of Gen Z.
Like you and Andy
99.
and like younger seem to be more interested in older music to the point of like 70s, 60s, anything, if it's interesting.
I've been listening a little bit of Pink Floyd recently.
Yeah, there you go, see? Whereas like millennials, if their dad wasn't listening to Pink Floyd, they probably don't care about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Millennials are a little, just kind of get pushed around by it.
They get pushed around by it.
Watch Big Bang Theory and it's their favorite show.
I feel like millennials are more like, most of them feel like that they're more into like newer music in a way. Not like super mainstream, but they're like, hey, this is like indie artist that I'm really into that's like 2 years or 3 years old, you know.
Brand new batch.
Nice.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of people in my generation.
As adventurous as like you or Andy are, that's more so than like most of my peers around the age of 30.
Oh,
They're just set in their ways and they don't really care to listen. Unless like Spotify recommends them something, they're not going out of their way to find good stuff.
yeah. I also don't think a lot of my generation is like super into old music. I mean, a lot of my generation still does listen to like most of like just popular music today and a lot of popular
Which is
artists.
hip hop and R&B.
Yeah, but
That's 90%.
Well, how do you find stuff?
what do you mean? To listen to?
Well, when I was young, it was just the radio. So
Or
whatever's
word of
playing,
mouth,
whatever's
mixtapes.
playing on the radio, or maybe a friend buys a new album. I've never heard of these guys before. Who's Beastie Boys, and because a lot of that wasn't on the radio either, at least not any stations here in Junction.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of goes viral that way. Like, oh, let me burn you a tape, or not burn. What did we say then? I don't know.
I think it's popular.
So we burned CDs. What did we do with tapes? I don't know.
Copy it or something?
Copy. I don't know. I'm sure we had a term for it, but basically ripping off someone else's tape, because especially if you have the dual cassette and you copy one to the other. That's how we made our mixtapes too. But yeah, it's like back then that was the only way you'd really get exposed to anything. But now with Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, it's like unless you're really like searching or maybe finding other people's playlists. I don't know.
What were you going to say?
Curious question.
I'd say TikTok's a really big one. TikTok is like
For discovering new
borderline
music.
almost a music app at like to a point. I feel like
Interesting.
there.
I've never thought of it.
No, because like I mean that's I find like a lot. I find a lot of songs I like off of TikTok, and I find a lot
But
of
you don't
artists.
go there to
No,
find new music. It's just like
it
an
just
accident.
kind of happens. Like that's where I find Deftones. That's where I found a couple other bands I can't think. I mean you showed me Alex G, but then Alex G got really popular also on TikTok as well. So there's a like,
You don't get it.
He's not going to give you any.
No.
but like I would say
He's
like
not gonna
TikTok
do it.
is TikTok and maybe Instagram, but like Instagram's not like super into music. It's just kind of what like sometimes people post music stuff on there, but
I would say it depends on how nerdy you want to get with it.
yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't consider searching. I think that they're just pleased with what they know they like. It's like my mom grew up with the Beatles, dad grew up with, I don't know, Pink Floyd or Nirvana, whichever old their parents are.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, my dad likes some Metallica, so I kind of enjoy that. And then like whatever they get from their friends, but like a lot of people don't consider like, hey, I can actually just like take time and go look for things that I will like.
Right.
Like I didn't start doing that until I don't know, maybe like YouTube started to, because like I'd be on YouTube a lot looking at different videos, and if I'm on a Coldplay music video,
Yeah.
there might be a Radiohead music video in the recommended or something, or like the Killers, like around that time 2008, like all that stuff was popular, and so YouTube recommended has been a way I've discovered quite a bit of good music.
That makes sense.
But you kind of have to be on YouTube enough. Typically, like desktop is better because like you can actually see the bar rather than just like watching the full video on a TV. YouTube was a big one. I kind of use Spotify a little bit because they have the Discover Weekly playlists. If you have a Spotify account and actively use it to listen to your favorite stuff and have playlists of things, Spotify can generate a Discover Weekly playlist where every week it's like a new set of songs that it thinks you might like based on your playlists and listening history. And I've discovered some interesting stuff with that, but again, you have to actively use Spotify for it to know what to recommend for you. And then, like...
Did you ever use Napster?
That was before my time. I used LimeWire, though.
LimeWire.
Downloaded some MP3s off of that.
Pandora? Did you ever use Pandora?
Briefly.
I used it in my office for a while, but it would like digress.
Yeah, we used Pandora before we ever started using Spotify, and it was...
Yeah, and I wasn't using any music streaming while it was just Pandora, so by the time I tested Pandora, Spotify was already a thing, and I'm like, oh, why would I ever use Pandora?
And I was kind of a late adopter to Spotify, because I kind of didn't get it. Like...
It's Pandora, but you can pick what you listen to? It seems too good to be true.
You can listen to an entire album, but you don't have to buy it?
Like, it was like Napster all over again.
It is.
Except you couldn't download it.
But Spotify you can even download onto your device, right?
Yeah, you can listen to it offline. You don't have the MP3, but it's there.
You have to keep paying the subscription, but as long as you do, I can kind of have it.
For me, it's like I like music so much that I love learning like music history, genres, how it influences the world and the world influences it, and the different phases of rock and pop and all that. So like I'll use like websites. There's one I use called rateyourmusic.com that has like really nice like chronicling of like genres, subgenres within that. You can click on that genre, see the top rated albums from those genres, and you can go to each album, like rate the album, rate individual tracks. You can like vote for what genre you think it is, and so that's been cool to like look at every year and see like, oh, what do people think is the best from this? And it's like, oh, 90s was like hip hop, like it was like all the best hip hop came out in the early 90s. Like I didn't know that. Late 80s, early 90s. And seeing like the progression of rock was really interesting. Seeing how it like morphed through like punk, and then it was kind of like disappeared in the 80s and kind of like reappeared as grunge again. Then you had that kind of simplified into alt rock in the 90s. Like I love all that stuff. Yeah. But it's like if you're just like a Taylor Swift fan who wants to find new music that's like Taylor Swift, I don't know if you'd go to a website and start like
hating on the Swifties?
Searching for whatever. But I really enjoyed that level of it because I was like, I want to find more stuff like this thing I really like. Yeah. And that was a really big resource for me in that way.
That makes sense.
So but there are ways, you just have to kind of go out of your way to do it. And if you're not like a regular music listener, it might be kind of hard to find things that are like generated from your listening history.
I think it's interesting that young people, which when you're 50, a lot of people are young people. I'm starting to sound like an old person. that they're getting into all the old stuff. Vinyl, record players, grunge, and that's actually kind of fed into, it's like Foo Fighters. I mean, they're probably bigger now than ever.
Sure.
Metallica's made a resurgence. They are really popular
Who is
now.
it?
Metallica's also made a resurgence. They're pretty popular right now.
Whoever their manager is or promotional company, like, brilliant. Everyone else should like copy their playbook.
Yeah.
Because they have stayed relevant for a heavy metal band. I mean, they were iconic for sure, but I mean, the lead singer sounds as good now as he did back then. He probably actually looks better.
Yeah.
I think he's cleaned up his act.
He's been a teetotaler for a while, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know when he stopped, but.
Yep.
Foo Fighters are pretty consistent, I feel like.
Foo Fighters.
Except for losing their drummer, but I mean.
Gosh,
oh yeah,
that was super sad.
Yeah, it was really
sad
sad
about that.
Especially when his son
played My Hero. It's so sad. I don't know if he played the whole set, but I think he played a couple songs though.
A tearjerker.
I know, it's really sad.
There's been one, I think only one Led Zeppelin reunion concert ever. It was like in 2007. They disbanded in I think 80.
Yeah.
So they were from like first album was like 68, 69, and their last one was like I think late 70s or 1980, but it was because John Bonham, the drummer, died. And so they're just like, we're done.
That can destroy a band.
It can, yeah. One of your like key people. He was a fantastic drummer, but the reunion show that they did, the other 3 original members, and then John Bonham's son was on the drums.
Oh,
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that was really cool.
Did you hear the story of Def Leppard? The drummer, I think he was in a car wreck, lost an arm.
oh,
Really?
So they took a hiatus, and he learned to play with one hand.
You kidding?
So if you look at some of their later stuff, he's drumming with one hand.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Man. It kind of happened to REM too. Their drummer had, it wasn't like an aneurysm. It was some kind of like thing on stage while they were performing.
I read about that lately, yeah.
Yeah, and because they just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they did a reunion show with all 4 members, and
That's
they played
cool.
"Losing My Religion." Yeah, he ended
How's
up
he sounding?
just as good
Pretty
as
good?
he did back then. Yeah, still sharp.
Not like Guns N' Roses
Yeah.
guy?
Oh.
Oh, so bad. Like, what are you doing?
Man, some of the like,
Axl Rose.
various bands I've noticed, like the lead vocals like just aren't what they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did that happen to the Smiths at all, or they? Or...
Well, they disbanded.
Oh, they did?
Like right after. Morrissey still sounds great though, because he's been doing solo stuff ever since they broke up, and he's still going. But he still sounds good. You ever heard "Your Love" by The Outfield?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Use your love tonight. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I heard like, because they also disbanded, but like the lead singer doing like some solo show in some festival, and I want to say that his vocals like definitely fell off a little bit.
I mean, that's what I was
good.
raised on, was one-hit wonders. Like, so many bands that just, like, 1 or 2 songs, that was it. And it's like putting their grandchildren through college still. I mean, it's just crazy. Makes me think of that movie with the British guy where his dad made a Christmas song. I don't know. Andrea likes all those movies. Like a romantic comedy sort of deal. What's the guy's name?
I feel like I should know what this is. Made a Christmas song?
Yeah, and every time the song comes on the radio, he just like, but he's like a trust fund baby. It's like paying his life, but then his dad died, you know, but it was his dad's song, and so he's living off the royalties.
Was it like a Hallmark movie?
No, not that cheesy.
Okay.
This was like not Hugh Jackman, Hugh Grant. Is that an actor? Is that a person?
Yeah, that's the guy from Notting Hill.
Yes, that guy.
Okay.
But it was
that
was the premise, and then maybe there was a kid.
Is it about a boy?
About a boy?
Okay.
There's a kid that he
Yeah.
gets to know and kind of.
I never saw it. Never did.
It's actually probably worth watching just from a musical perspective if you kind of appreciate like music and all of that, and he kind of redeems himself through all that. It was interesting, but I mean, there's, gosh, who was it the other day I was watching? Vanilla Ice. I can't remember the guy's name.
I don't know.
Ice Ice Baby was like the song.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on some podcast a while ago. The guy's like doing house flipping now, and he's got a reality TV show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's like killing it.
That's crazy.
But they're asking him like, so I know you probably, music days are gone, and he's like, well, not so much. Like, what do you mean? He's like, still getting some money from Ice Ice Baby. They're like, how much? And he basically alluded to like a couple $100,000 a month. Just royalties from, he's like, that song is still played like as if it's still charting in some areas.
Man,
what? Because that was I was probably 16 when that song came out.
Sure.
We all bought the single. That's back when you bought singles. You didn't buy the whole album, it was just a cassette tape. And he basically stole Madonna and some other bands' whole
No, it was Under Pressure.
Under Pressure.
Queen and David Bowie.
Yeah, Madonna also had that same.
She did?
In one of her songs, yeah. Wow. And, but I had the lyrics memorized. Like, if you were cool, you had the lyrics to this song memorized.
Do you still
and
have
you
it?
just
Do you still have it memorized?
most of it.
You sing it in the shower.
Off camera.
Ice, ice, baby.
Bullets. ringed out like a bell. Grabbed my knife, all I heard was shells.
Haley was once able, I don't know if she still knows all the lyrics. She was able to, it took her effort. She actually put effort into doing this. She memorized all the lyrics to 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies.
Wow.
Yeah. Chickadee China to China.
Yeah, if you can sing it, like...
She was able to do it front to back, like, at least once. And that's all. And then she's like, I can forget it now because
Yeah.
I've achieved what I wanted
I was
to
like
do.
that with the Chili Peppers.
Oh, yeah?
At several of their songs, because if you can sing it, it sounds super cool, and it's like...
Well, because
having it roll off your
partially,
tongue.
it's partially rap.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's like a rhythm to the syllables.
Give it a week, give it a week, give it a week, give it a week.
That was me with By the Way. I really like that song, so I kind of just
Yeah.
like I don't have the whole. I don't like some of the verses I don't have down, but like
What you got to give it to
the chorus is really catchy and it's also really like.
There's some songs that are just a blast. Like when you've heard them enough and have them memorized, like they're a blast to sing along with.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Not all, but a few.
The Black Crows. Might have to cue up a Black Crows song, Randy.
I think I know what you're talking about.
One of those bands, kind of like Kings of Leon, like probably should have done more, but they just had an iconic sound and just sort of fizzled. Yeah, Black Crows, that would have been mid-90s-ish, I don't know, before grunge. Before grunge became a big thing.
Play their most popular song.
I follow a guy on Instagram that
I'll put it
I
on
can't
my
remember
list.
his name. He's got like great hair. He's probably in his early 60s, but he does like guitar lessons and stuff. Just real quick, like here's how to do this riff. But then he'll have on like older musicians, and they'll just tell their story about a song or whatever. So he had. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I feel like it was us, but it wasn't us. It was someone else.
You're not talking about Rick Beato, are
Maybe. I don't know his name.
you? He's a.
Salt and pepper hair, kind of wavy.
He has his own music studio.
Yeah, I think that's the guy.
He I don't know if he still is. He was a producer and like produced a good handful of albums.
Yep.
But like he's had on like recently had on the bassist from REM.
Yeah,
Like
oh, yeah.
I watched that.
Same guy.
Watched that video. And I'm
And
like,
he'll fill in.
Is that Sting on with his guitarist?
He'll fill in for drummers or bassists, I think, for bands. Like if they need someone, he's that good. But he's had on like Ed, whatever his name is from Collective Soul.
Yeah.
You know, talking about Shy in their first song. He's like, "How'd you
Yeah.
do that?" He's like, "I was a one-man band at that point.
Rick
Recorded the whole
loves
thing in my
like
basement."
Stone Temple Pilots and all that. So
Great stories about how they get started and how they came up with the song and used a toilet paper roll to make a sound. It's like, I love that stuff.
yeah, I love that stuff too.
Before they were big, you know.
It's like just stories of like in the studio, like what were you doing to make
Yeah.
these songs?
Yep.
Also crazy how like bands would scrape together as much money as they could just for studio time, and we're like, we need to rehearse the hell out of these songs
Yep.
and just like nail it first try in the studio so we can do it within like 2 days.
Yep.
Record our whole album. Like,
Just crank it out.
there's a
'cause
few bands who
we
have
can
been
only
like
afford
that.
so much. Yeah. And then there's bands like Wasp that recorded their whole album in their garage, and you can tell.
Sure.
Echoey. It's like weird
Garage rock, man.
background noises. Don't cue up any Wasp, by the way, Riley.
Don't.
No.
You familiar with Captain Beefheart?
No.
Frank Zappa was in his band for a
Really?
while, but really experimental, avant-garde,
Yeah.
kind of rock musician. And his most popular album is like super long, super crazy. It's kind of one of those like legendary albums where it's like, if you can listen to this and like it, then you're a music nerd. It's like complete insanity.
Yeah.
But they, I think, recorded that in a house that they rented, and he had like boarded up all the windows and like just basically forced everyone to stay in the house all the time while they made this album. And like, for as chaotic as it sounds, it's like very composed
Yeah.
and very specific, and like they micromanaged all the little details. And imagine all the stories of being like locked in a house with like a cult leader
Psychopath demon.
forcing you to make this like crazy music.
Black Rose.
You recognize this song? Oh, so this is one that you like singing to?
There you go. They only had a few songs, and that was it.
It's got a bit of that, like, Chili Peppers funk to it.
Yeah. And you don't have to listen to the whole thing, right? You can skip it if you want, though.
Look up Trout Mask Replica, and play the first song, and turn it up a little bit.
This?
Mm-hmm. Frownland.
Frownland?
Yep. Play it and turn it up. Wait, is that right?
That's not pleasant.
This must be like a cover. Must not be on here.
Sounds like the Ren and Stimpy intro.
Is this not on here? Go to YouTube and look up Frownland then, because that's not the right thing. I mean, it does sound that crazy, but it's weird that it's not on Spotify.
So the Buffalo Tin cigar is good, but it keeps going out, which is interesting. And the ash is really light. So it's probably a certain leaf, maybe that
Maybe.
the ash just kind of disintegrates as it goes.
Is this it?
It's like all of this is orchestrated. Like this is very intentional.
Wow.
There's something kind of captivating about it, though.
I know, it's really weird. But
I reacted to this whole thing on my channel, by the way.
What's going on?
I don't know, but it's like a car crash. It's hard to look away. But again, like made in a house where like no one was allowed to leave. And how long did? Oh, it doesn't say on there how long it is. It's like I want to say it's like over like 70 or 80 minutes long. Wow. Has like 20 tracks on it. You can turn it off. You so
want the rest
desire.
that is actually wild.
Anyway, I don't even know what we were talking about originally.
You guys reading any new books?
I want to start Of Mice and Men. Yeah.
Have you seen the movie with Malkovich? And
No, I know nothing about it.
Very
I
Sinise.
know a character dies. That's all I know. I don't know which one.
the
But
movie was really good. Wow. It was when I watched it in the 90s.
yeah. Oh, maybe.
Kind of realized like I have to.
I mean, maybe it still is, but like
I mean, two great actors. I'm sure it's still good.
I'm wanting to get around to, because I was thinking about like I mentioned like the 3 or 4 big books I was considering, like Crime and Punishment, Moby Dick, Atlas Shrugged, Lord of the Rings.
Anna Karenina.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Just don't do it.
maybe it's like I should get around to a bunch of the shorter, good American novels.
There you go.
Which I never read Mockingbird. I saw the movie, like Mom had the movie playing a lot as a kid, but I never read it.
Yeah.
So that's one, and then Steinbeck, Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
I got a good way through one of the shorter books. I think I talked about it. The Moon is Down.
Yep.
It was like spread as like not propaganda, but just during World War II.
Yeah.
Cannery Row, a few others of his. 'Cause, like, I'd read The Great Gatsby and I wasn't super into it.
Yeah.
Like I get it, but
It was alright.
not quite my thing. But I'm realizing like, ooh, maybe I should do like more Steinbeck and Hemingway.
There you go.
Because I have Old Man in the Sea. That'd be a quick read.
You just have to put on like a big poofy sweater.
I got
Drink
a
mojitos.
cable knit sweater.
Drink mojitos. Smoke a cigar. His residence is in Key West, and it's now a museum. You can tour it.
Really?
We were there.
Yeah.
It was after COVID, so it was like by appointment only and all this stupid stuff. So we opted not to. But a replica of his boat is in the Bass Pro Shop.
Oh yeah.
And it's on the way to Key West if you drive down. It's in
West
Isla Mirada.
I think so.
I think it's Isla Mirada. But it's the first, I think someone told me it was the first Bass Pro Shop. It doesn't look like it from the outside. It looks like a Key West sort of building, you know, with the shutters and everything. Go inside and say, oh, it's a Bass Pro Shop. And there's this like huge wood boat in the middle of the store. Oliver thought it was the coolest thing. You can climb up into it, like for kids, like super cool. You can see like his quarters where he slept and everything. But
Wow.
Hemingway's replica of his boat.
That's cool.
Very cool.
You hear about the Australian guy who's trying to build Titanic 2?
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I've known about this guy for a while, but he's been kind of getting popular in the news recently.
Such a small boat compared to what boats are today.
It's
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very true. Yeah, very true. Yeah, he's I think some kind of like billionaire, and he's been wanting to like do this for a while, but he's not a good like businessman in terms of like.
Choices.
It's like just because he has a lot of money doesn't mean he knows how to build a boat. So like all of the logistics
Like-
are like muddying him up, and he's like things about like who could build this, can they transport it, like all that kind of stuff
Right.
is like the logistics of making a Titanic is.
Should you make the doors big enough for Kate and Leonardo? I mean, it's a legit question.
Yeah, add little like buoying devices to all doors.
All doors, just in case.
Yeah. No one allowed in the cargo area after dark.
Nothing good can happen there.
No one allowed up on the thing to do the.
Brad, did you ever watch Titanic?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big movie when it came out. I went to see it in the theater, and it's like, haven't seen anything.
It was like a cultural phenomenon,
Yeah.
and it's actually not a bad movie.
No.
It's really long,
Yeah, it's really long.
but like man, the like practical effects and actually having like these sets that were flooding with water is pretty cool.
It is. It's just
Yeah, now he's-
fun to make fun of later. You know?
Now he's just making 5 Avatar movies that no one cares about.
Come on, Christopher.
Did you see the second one?
Mhm.
Is it good?
I liked it.
Okay.
I was kind of I was really into the first Avatar when I was younger. I thought it was actually pretty good, and I still like the first Avatar. It's not nothing crazy, but the second one was, I wouldn't say it's better. It's almost on the same like level.
Do you
But
remember
there's
when we watched the first one? Where we were?
It came out in 2009.
like what house we were in, or like what like
We were in Palm Springs
oh,
at that hotel. It was a VRBO. Good grief. It was
Airbnb.
timeshare sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
It was a hotel. The heater went out on the pool, so you couldn't swim in the pool. This is like spring break, so it's like so cold.
Was this the year it came out?
It was the year it came out, so we went to an IMAX theater and watched
remember
it in
this, yeah.
3D. Yeah.
How old
Yeah.
were you in 2009?
5.
Yeah.
I remember a little bit of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember the?
Was there like a
Go ahead.
was there a car dealership next to it or something? I
Yep.
don't know. I remember seeing cars next to the theater.
Do you remember there were orange and lemon trees all over town? They're all like perfectly manicured. This is Palm Springs.
I don't remember
Just
that.
like, and then Andrew's like, grab one of those lemons. They look amazing. So we stop the car. I jump out, grab a couple. The lemons are like grapefruit size. They're huge. Grab a couple of those, jump back in the car, go back to our hotel. We made like some lemonade or something out of it, which that was probably, Palm Springs, that was probably highly illegal.
Wow.
Palm Springs, they call it the gay 80s. Because everyone there is gay, and they're all 80 years old.
Oh my god.
They have like an epic golf course. They've got a ton of wind turbines out there. And we had a rental car, and we were driving down a road. I don't know what we were doing, but we're in town. So Palm Springs is just outside of Hollywood, California, and that's where all the celebrities would go to get out of town.
Yeah.
And they had a bar that was attached to the hotel we stayed in, and that was the bar where the celebrities would go.
Mm.
And I guess some of them still do. So whoever was managing the hotel, they're like, yeah, if you're interested, go down to the hotel each night, or go down to the bar each night and just see who you might see.
Wow.
Which was kind of cool. But anyway, we're driving down this road just outside of Palm Springs. I don't know what we were doing, maybe just making our rounds. The wind kicked up, and then the dust from the desert starts flying past us, hitting the side of our car. It's like being hit with shrapnel. It's like, you just hear all the rocks and the sand. And so I had to pull over. It was that like crazy. All the wind turbines are spinning. And I'm like, oh, glad it's a rental because probably pelted the paint. It was crazy.
Dang.
I forgot all about that trip. It was one of those like, Spring break, let's do something on a dime. Someone gave us a timeshare in the Bahamas, which I shouldn't have taken, because then you've got management fees, which were like $400 or $500 a year, and we were not of the proper means to take our family to the Bahamas, but you could trade it. But then you have to buy into this timeshare trading company so you could trade that timeshare for another one somewhere else, and then that frees up your week in the Bahamas at that timeshare hotel. It's not much of a thing anymore, but it was a huge thing with the boomers. All the boomers had 2 or 3 timeshares, which is why they were trying to give them all away, because then the rates kept going up. So by the time I finally unloaded the thing, it was like $1,200 a year for the maintenance fees of a place we'd never been to.
Wow.
But so we traded it into this little boutique hotel in Palm Springs, California, of all places. Then we went to see Avatar. Anyway, that was a really long story to say we went to see the Avatar.
Avatar was good though, and then I rewatched that in Aunt Papa's house where I actually remembered it. But I remember one memory of like me opening the door to one of the theaters, and it was one that we weren't supposed to be in, and they were watching Avatar, and I remember like the mechs, like it was like towards the end because the mechs were in there, and I was like. And I remember like somebody was like, "No, you can't go in there." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I kind of could tell I wasn't allowed to be in there because it was like the end of the movie. So I was like, "Oh."
That's how we would go see movies we weren't supposed to see. We'd pay to see whatever Bambi, and then we'd like sneak down the hall. Then I'd go in the theater to see Michael Myers or Halloween or And then the whole time you're stressed out. It's like, oh, someone's gonna come in and they'll know we're not supposed to be in here. That's the thing.
First thing that happens is you just leave the theater.
Now you just have Jada just open the door for you.
Pretty much.
Oh man. Yeah, the only real problem with Avatar was that it was just what's it called? Dances with Wolves.
Yes.
Yeah. Copy and pasted plot.
Yeah.
It was just kind of to show off like how good a movie can look at this time. It's
you can tell that the story wasn't really where he was trying to shine, which is kind of unfortunate.
The second one's story is a little better, I would say.
Okay.
It's a little bit more interesting. There's just some characters that do things that you're like, I don't feel like that character would do that. But
He was doing good stories in the 80s because you had Aliens,
yeah.
and in the 90s you had Terminator 2.
Yes.
Yeah, he was already doing good stuff. I don't know, yeah.
It's like Titanic doesn't have a great story. Avatar doesn't have a great story. So he kind of like lost the storytelling a little bit.
It almost just to have more of a grand looking movie and not just like a...
He started to go with like style over substance a little bit, which can be fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know, sometimes you wish, kind of with Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
like sometimes I wish Oppenheimer was nice. Did you see Oppenheimer yet?
Yes.
It was pretty good.
That felt like kind of back to his roots of just like writing a nice script where the people felt like people, and not just, I don't know, Matthew McConaughey saving the day because love transcends the universe, or Interstellar.
Well, it does actually.
Oh, it does. It's like Inception. It's like tons of style that's super awesome, not a bunch of substance.
No.
The acting is like fine, but like all that style makes me that's just good Hollywood right there.
Yeah.
Recently rewatched Inception with Felicity. That was about a year ago. It was kind of going over her head a little bit, but like she was very compelled by it. And the first time I had seen it in a long time, I saw that in theaters like 3 or 4 times.
Really?
I love that movie. When it came out. I watched it again with her, and like, you know what? It still holds up. Just watching Joseph Gordon-Levitt run around a hallway and punch a guy.
Really cool. Or I was a big fan of the last scene with the snow area. I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool what they were all doing.
Interstellar. You see Interstellar?
Yep.
I liked Interstellar.
I tried rewatching that recently. I didn't finish it, but I don't know, something about Nolan's movies, like especially Tenet, where it's like you gotta watch it with subtitles, because for some reason they just drown out the dialogue
Could not hear
in the
anything.
mixing.
Yeah.
I finally
With
gave
all
up
of his
on the movie.
movies.
Like we were like half or 3/4 of the way through. I'm like, I'm done. Like I just
Too much.
But yeah, it was tedious.
Yeah.
Like trying to keep up with it. It's probably very interesting.
What,
It is
Tenet?
Tenet.
It is very
I
interesting.
rewatched
But it's
that
also like
recently.
it's like he was like shooting for the stars and missed a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'd say it. And also like it's really interesting because like the movie kind of like folds in on itself and like the
Yeah.
whole plot kind of like isn't really cyclical, but like time is so weird because
Right.
you kind of realize at the end that like there have been people going backwards through time for like years, and so like this whole plot has been like orchestrated
Right.
this way, but it's so hard to pay attention of who's going this way and this way and this way down to the moments of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like a brain teaser. Like
Yeah.
you need to like get like pen and paper to map it all out if you want to figure it out. Which, if you're left-brained, great. If I want to watch just like a fun, interesting movie, I'd rather go with Inception.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie? I'm trying to remember what it's called. Or the actor, I should know both, but it eludes me. Every morning he wakes up and he forgets who he is and what's going on. But he has like some of it tattooed on his body.
That's Memento.
Memento.
Also,
That's
Christopher Nolan.
a while back. Yeah, I actually liked that movie. It wasn't as tedious to follow, but at the same time you're like, gosh, what's going on? And like,
I love Memento.
where's he at now? Yeah.
That's so
and the
good.
actor, like, he did a phenomenal job.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce, thank you. Yeah, he did a great job.
He's in a good handful of like 90s stuff.
He's not done much since.
Kind of vanished a little
Yeah,
bit.
vanished for sure.
Um,
But he did a really good job.
Yeah, I love that. Basically, because people say that it's a movie that goes backwards. It's not really. It's a movie that starts at the end and the beginning and moves to the middle,
Yep.
and it ends in the middle. It's like the middle is where the twist is and the reveal, and shows like makes you understand the whole plot a little bit better. But I just love that like it would be a scene at the end, plays to the end, and then goes to the beginning of the movie, plays
Yeah.
that scene, and then goes to the previous scene, and he's like, okay, wait, why am I here?
Yep.
And like we as the audience are also like, I have no idea why you're here, because
Uh-huh.
I don't know what happened before
Yeah.
to you. You're just like in this situation, and your short-term memory just reset, kind of like ours did, and you're just trying to piece this together front to back as it goes, and it's like genius writing.
It was a good mix of cerebral, had some good action, pretty gritty. Like when his wife's like wrapped up in the shower curtain, it's like watching her die. It's like that's rough. Yeah, it was well done.
Fantastic movie. And I wish he could kind of get back to those roots again, because he's kind of doing what James Cameron did, where he's letting the money be like, I'm going to make Titanic, I'm going to make Inception.
I don't know that there's any going back.
Oppenheimer's kind of a walk back a little bit.
I would.
It's a
yeah,
3-hour
yeah,
drama.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't like. Then again, this next thing might be another big crazy sci-fi movie.
Right.
You don't know.
It's true. Like M. Night Shyamalan, I think he's kind of gone through those struggles too. Like he had a few just like super niche, like really good, became really big, and then he tried to do some big stuff.
Like the After Earth stuff, like really flopped because
Yeah.
he was trying to go big budget and kind of like lost his vision a bit. And then like when I remember when Split came out, everyone was like, "Oh, he's kind of back."
Split was good. I like Split.
Like he's sort of back to a more bare bones kind of thing with like a really twisty plot.
With the weird cinematography where it just kind of sort of cuts to something, but you don't quite see everything that's going on, and
Yeah.
creates that scary illusion, like your mind's making up what's happening there. Like in Signs, where they're in the root cellar and the light goes out and you hear noises, like, crap, what's going on? Like your mind's
Yeah.
literally making up what's going on. But
I really liked the scene in Split where the girl gets in the car and
She just looks in the...
he like overtakes the mother or whoever and like gets in the car next
Yep,
to her,
yeah.
and the way it's shot, like it seems kind of normal, but you can see like some struggles in the corners of the frame, and like you can kind of hear some muffled things. So it's like
Yep.
if you're paying attention, you can like
pick up on all those little
something's
things.
going on here, and then like he gets in the car and she looks over and he's
Yeah.
just there.
It's so true. Like, yeah, picking up on the little details there.
It's like that's like what Hitchcock
Very Hitchcock-esque. I was
Yeah,
just
where
gonna
it's
say
like
that.
how you compose your frame is extremely important. Hollywood doesn't really care about that anymore, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he reshot the shower scene in Psycho, I don't know how many times. To the point I think he traumatized his actress.
Oh, yeah.
Like she was messed up.
She
after that.
she definitely kind of suffered a little bit from that.
I just wish Glass was good. That would have been such a good movie to tie.
I never ended up watching Glass, so I don't know.
It was all right. The ending was really lackluster.
I know you really like Shyamalan.
Yeah.
I find him like really inconsistent, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah.
He's always interesting though. Like he definitely is trying to like push some boundaries, which I really like.
He does cameos just like Hitchcock did,
Mhm.
which is that's interesting, but that's only interesting for so long. Like that can't carry all your movies.
Well, he kind of makes himself a character,
Yes.
whereas Hitchcock never did that.
No, and I think
He
like
okay.
Signs, he never did a cameo. In
No, he
Signs,
did.
he?
He was-
he was the guy who trapped the alien in his pantry.
No,
No, I'm sorry.
okay. In Signs, he played the guy that killed his Mel Gibson's wife.
I See Dead People. What's that movie?
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. I don't think he ever did. I don't think he did
No.
one in that one. No.
And that was
I only saw it once.
Andrew and I. That was our first date.
Sixth.
Really?
Our first legit date.
That's a
Yes.
crazy. That's a crazy movie for a first
I
date.
don't know why I chose that movie to go to.
But that movie, the twist on that one, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Even though it's like not really big now, I thought it was crazy.
That's something I talked with Haley about recently, is that there are certain movie spoilers that people are just okay like having out of the bag and joking about in society. Realize that? Like one is Sixth Sense.
Yep.
He was dead the whole time. People are okay like just saying that,
Yep.
assuming everyone knows.
Yep.
Yeah. Waiting.
Another one is Dumbledore from Harry Potter.
What spoiler?
If you don't know, then I won't say it.
I haven't seen it. No, I've seen the movie. I just can't remember.
Just that what happens to Dumbledore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because like that's kind of a twist, right?
Yeah.
But then like the Fight Club twist, like no one's let that out of the bag. I think part of that's because
Actually,
like when
that's
you
the Fight
So
Club twist.
admittedly,
When you
I've never
show-
seen the movie.
when you show
We
someone
should watch it. I
Fight-
haven't seen it yet.
When
either.
you show someone Fight Club, it's almost like a rite of passage to be like, I want them to see like the thing that happens near the end.
I know the twist. I haven't seen the movie. Really
But
seen
like
it.
that's a well kept secret. It's not out of the bag. But like with Sixth Sense, everyone's just like, oh, he was dead the whole time.
He's dead the whole time.
Yeah. Or this one. These are two good examples, both with Charlton Heston of all people. Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
with the scene at the end, like that's like an iconic scene, but like that ruins almost the whole movie, right? Because that's the reveal,
Right.
where it's like, oh, there's Statue of Liberty, we were on Earth the whole time.
Yeah.
And then,
Damn dirty apes.
right? And then Soylent Green.
Mm.
Like literally the joke about Soylent Green is people,
Yeah.
that is the climax of the movie.
Right.
Because he's going into the factory and like fighting a bad guy or whatever, and then like discovers that like all these people who are dying, they just grind up into Soylent Green, and he's like chanting it to the people, and then it cuts to credits. I'm like, that was the climax, and like people just joke about that in society.
Right.
I was like, why are some movie twists like
That's interesting.
a joke or a
Yeah.
meme, and then other ones it's like, shh, we can't talk about first rule of Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club.
I mean, that is the first rule.
It is the first rule. But yeah, I just thought that was
I've never
bizarre.
seen that movie. We need to watch it.
I think we should. I haven't seen it, but I know the twist, unfortunately. But
There's a handful of movies I've never seen that are super iconic. They're referenced all the time. And I'm not against seeing them.
you just haven't seen them.
It's just that I didn't see it when I should have saw it.
Mhm.
So now it almost feels like,
You kind of missed the train a little bit.
yeah, like Pulp Fiction. I've never seen Pulp Fiction.
I haven't seen Pulp Fiction either.
You guys should see Pulp Fiction. It's very
Not
good.
opposed to it.
It is very good.
Have you seen Hateful Eight?
Nope.
Oh, I feel like you'd like Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight is also very good.
There's not really a twist to that. Well, is there a twist to that one?
Dr. Daniel
Kinda.
saw it, and he's like,
I
Don't see it.
I wouldn't expect him to like it.
It uses
He
music
saw it
from
with
the
his
thing.
dad.
Oh, whoa, yeah. Well, it uses music from the thing, which is kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah. Quentin
Carpenter?
Tarantino, used like unused music that they were going to use from the thing.
Really?
That's what Andy told me. But yeah, like they used it for the track in that. And if you just watch the movie, there's like this one scene where they're like, well, it is also kind of like The Thing because they're trapped because it's super snowy and they're all stuck in this one house and they're trying to figure out like who's like there's somebody that's helping a bad person in there. They're trying to figure out who it is and all that.
It's made to feel like a play.
Yeah. Yes.
It takes place pretty much entirely in one lodge.
Yes. But they can't leave because it's like super snowy and it's like deadly out there.
It's like a closed, what they call a locked door murder mystery.
Yeah.
Like The Shining.
Yeah, but
Okay. Yeah.
so it's a lot like The Thing, but
Clue.
like there's this one scene where one of the guys is like taking all the guns out to the porta potty, which is like way out.
And that's when they're playing the.
And that's probably the most prominent example. They played other
Alright.
parts, but I'm like, am I just watching The Thing right now? Like, what's happening? But it's kind of cool though. I think you would like it. It's pretty good.
The Thing is great.
I haven't seen The Thing. I need to watch The
I
Thing.
mean, The Thing is
Gosh,
fantastic.
I've seen it, but it's so old.
I need to watch
John
it.
Carpenter, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
John Carpenter made so many, I wouldn't say great movies, but
He made some weird things, but
in
like.
their time. The Fog,
Sure.
super creepy.
Yeah.
Remember the watch?
Does that one have a big twist at the end?
Halloween.
So going back to my childhood, Mom would rent these on VHS when Dad was at work.
Yeah, she would watch these
And
things.
The Omen. We would watch these movies. She'd be, all right, close your eyes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But The Fog, that was a great movie.
you
They
got
tried to redo it. It was stupid. But old school John Carpenter, good
Yeah,
stuff.
and he scored all of his own stuff.
Yeah.
Synth music, the dark synth music, man.
Dad,
so good.
we should make a list of movies that we need to watch together because
Yeah.
because I haven't seen Pulp
Riley,
Fiction.
we used to watch movies together.
I know we gotta get back into
What's your
it.
deal? We used to smoke cigars out front together. What happened?
Well, I get
we
home.
smoked cigars out back.
I get home from work at like 10, so I'm like I
It's
don't
about
know.
when I'm starting my cigar. I get it.
I'll make a list real quick of movies we need to watch.
Yeah, you guys would dig Pulp Fiction. It's fantastic.
It's got
It's
sorry to interrupt you, but it's got Bruce Willis in it, right?
It's-
I always like Bruce Willis.
It's a what do they call it? Hyperlink story, which is where it's like a bunch of little vignettes that like connect to each other.
That's John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, there's a John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson story. There's a Bruce Willis story, and
Who's the gal on
Uma
like
Thurman.
Is that a separate story or is she in like the?
She's part of the John Travolta one.
Okay.
I mean, like all the characters have their own little like vignettes together.
That's where they do the iconic like dance thing together.
In the diner thing. Yeah.
Like I've seen so many parts of it that I kind of know what's going on, but still have not watched the movie.
Yeah, but it's like because it's disjointed and it's technically non-linear too. So it's like you'll see these three characters here, and then the next scene it's these two, and then the next scene it's these characters, but it was before the first scene, and so
Right.
as you're watching, it's kind of like a Nolan movie. You have to like pay attention to like the clothes people are wearing because they'll like change, and like trying to keep track of the chronology of the movie. You have to like pay attention to all these details. So even though it's like one of the most like iconic movies, one of the first big indie movies, like everyone loves it. Like it still is actually authentically like really great
Yeah.
because there's a lot of stuff to notice and digest, and it's funny and the writing is good. So
I'm trying to think of some other movies I haven't
Old
seen.
Stanley Kubrick. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
my favorite filmmaker. He didn't do One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Who did that?
Someone else.
It feels like a Kubrick.
It kind of does. It does.
Did he do Clockwork Orange?
He did do Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
That's my fifth favorite movie.
I heard that was wild.
It is wild. Like Clockwork Orange is also kind of in that like 1984 Brave New World Fahrenheit collection of like dystopian novels around that time.
Recently watched a video. I think it was supposed to be like the Academy Awards for. Gosh, is that right? Some awards ceremony for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Yeah.
and they're like back in character, like they're in the insane asylum, but they're accepting the award, and they're behind the glass, and someone like punches through the glass. And
Really?
I've never seen that before, but I think that actually happened like on camera during one of these awards, like back in the day. I was like,
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is really great too. Yeah, I love
they're doing
Kubrick.
frontal lobotomies on people.
Kubrick is one
Medically, that was a thing. They
It
thought
was.
that was going to cure all these ailments. Let's just
What did they use it? What did they do that mainly for? Was it like some sort of mental illness stuff, or was it like
like schizophrenia and other like major.
when you poke a needle through your eye? And that'll help everything. That is what kind of weird that old medical practices were just like, let's just do something to you.
Bloodletting. That's
some-
how George Washington. George Washington. He died.
because of the leeches or whatever. There's something kind of John Steinbeck about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's like something about that kind of like tragic American story, you know?
I'll have to watch it.
Deb, what are other big movies that you haven't seen that you feel like you should watch?
You should watch The Thing again. Is that on? You have that on there?
I'll put.
I need to watch that again. It's been a long time.
I have not seen the thing, so I should know. I
I think
will.
it's so
Kurt
good.
Russell.
Yep.
Jeez.
He's also in Hateful Eight as well.
And Wilford Brimley. Diabetes.
Good sugar diabetes. When he did Cocoon,
I think he was in Cocoon. I never saw it.
he was in his 50s. I'll be 50 this year. Hell no. He was supposed to be in like this retirement community. Then he gets like the juice from the swimming pool, and they all come back. It's like, no.
It's good.
Have you guys seen Cocoon?
I haven't, no.
Yeah. Alien pod flies down, lands in like the swimming pool of this like old folks community.
Oh.
It was not a nursing home. It was like retirement community, and they start swimming in the pool, and all of a sudden they get rejuvenated. They feel young again. They get vigorous in the bedroom.
I had no idea what the plot to Cocoon was.
That's the
Wow. That's kind of wild.
It's like a horror movie or something. That'd be like, that's good.
like Alice from the Brady Bunch. She was like 50 in that movie. I'm like, no, she wasn't, because she had like the beehive hairdo. I'm like, no, she looks like she's 80. That hasn't worked.
Did you ever see Poltergeist?
So I'm from that era.
Yeah.
So when those movies came out, we did not see them in the theater.
It was like early 80s.
We saw them made for TV or adapted for TV. So
Those are some funny edits that they do.
National Lampoon's Vacation, saw that, but for TV. I saw Poltergeist for TV. If you go back and watch those original movies, like National Lampoon's Vacation, you see the wife's. Yeah, like I can't unsee that.
Man, I remember some of the. I don't remember which
I watched
movies
it with
they
Nora.
were.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
let's watch this.
Whoops.
I'm sorry. That's not what I remember.
Yeah, I remember like as an adult going back and watching like certain things and like realizing that I saw like a TV edit of this as a kid.
Oh yeah. Alligators in the sewers. Like everything I watched as a kid was like they cut stuff and made it for TV.
So, you know about the Snakes on a Plane edit?
Yes.
You know about this?
I don't think I do.
Okay, so the line is something along the lines of like Samuel L. Jackson saying like, I'm tired of these mother effing snakes on this mother effing plane. Alright, and then he's like, alright, now it's time to get real, let's open some effing windows. And so the TV edit, which I discovered much later that actually this would be a thing that big budget movies would do, is they would actually film a TV edit scene.
Really?
So the TV edit of this scene,
That actually makes sense.
he's actually saying this.
That actually makes sense.
But what does he say in the?
He says, I'm tired of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
What?
Now let's open some freaking windows.
So cheesy.
It's like, you just said nonsense. What are you talking about? But like, I think that they did that on purpose because they knew.
I wonder if they did that back in the 80s too then. Because there were so many
Well,
movies.
they would overdub a
Yeah.
lot of them.
There's so many movies I saw that like it worked really well from beginning to end, and then you watch the original, it's like, that's not what I watched when I was a kid.
And then there are some TV edits that are just like, they try to overdub the line
Yeah.
to match the lips,
Oh.
and so they just, which I think was like the tongue-in-cheek thing that they did on Snakes on a Plane, is like, let's take the scene where you're saying it as if you were
Yeah.
dubbing yourself, but you're just actually going to say what you're dubbing, and I thought that was kind of funny.
Gosh,
But
that's funny.
monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
I mean, it makes sense. You know, it makes total sense. I would say that.
I'm putting The Prestige on here because I have not seen that. And I've heard good things about that.
Prestige is so good. Fantastic. Really overlooked. As
Agreed.
well.
Yeah.
That one kind of got like just kind of lost in the past a little bit.
It feels like it came out at a time where there was other stuff going on. And I can't tell you what it was, but it felt like it was just overlooked for whatever reason.
It also came out the same year as The Illusionist with Edward Norton.
And they were
Oh.
similar.
They were similar.
And people get them confused. They were so similar.
Yep.
Yeah.
There are some years where that kind of thing happens,
Yeah.
where it's like two movies that are pretty close in like
Yeah.
theme and plot that
Like
people
those.
just kind of like mix them up.
Yeah. It's Prestige, man. It was good, but. Have you seen that, Riley?
Mhm.
Oh gosh, you gotta
Another
see it.
Christopher
Add
Nolan
it to the
one.
list.
I did that. I put Memento on there because the way you guys described it sounds pretty interesting.
Oh, you'd love Memento, man.
Have either of you seen Shutter Island?
Yes.
Have you seen Shutter Island? I watched it recently. It was really good.
Leonardo?
Yeah.
No.
And
Martin Scorsese. yeah.
Leonardo, Mark Ruffalo, and there's a couple other actors in there. I can't.
Would you classify that as horror?
Not
or just
really.
Thriller?
It's like a psychological.
Yeah.
Because I thought
Thriller,
it was gonna be
drama.
like horror or something, but it was more of just like
Well,
a.
it's a mystery.
It is a mystery, yeah. Because the
I love
twist at
those
the
kind
end
of
was
movies. I
wild.
just don't like Saw, that kind of crap.
Oh
it's,
no,
it's nothing like that.
I don't think there's not that much gore in it.
No, not at
There's
all.
not. Yeah, it's just more of like it's kind of like a mind like
Mhm.
like you're like
Yeah.
what is happening? 'Cause
Mental hospital.
they're two detectives that go to like a mental hospital that are.
Have you guys seen the new
What time is it about?
Kenneth Branagh?
249?
Kenneth Branagh.
What's he up to now?
It's a Agatha Christie style. What's it called?
Well, he's been doing the Poirot things.
Poirot.
Is another
But
one?
it's based in
'Cause he did
Italy.
Orient Express and then Murder on the Nile.
Murder on the Nile.
Oh, this one was like oh, I know what you're
What's it
talking.
called?
It's like the guy with the mask.
Another one of the big Poirot.
It's like
books.
it's like a haunted mansion thing or something. I don't know.
They're in what's the Italian city that's on the water and the canals and all
Venice?
that? Venice. That doesn't help, but
Oh.
it's- Andrew and I watched it the other day. We saw it come up. I'm like, that sounds really interesting. It's like haunted
Mhm.
stuff. Like he starts seeing things and it starts to mess with him, and really good. I can't even tell you what's called.
And it is a.
But
one of the-
he's Poirot. Yeah, he's the detective in retirement, comes back out of retirement, gets invited to this thing, and all of this weird stuff starts to happen.
Let me see what it's called.
Because there was Murder on the Nile, and I know what you're talking about.
He's in Venice.
A Haunting in Venice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Worth a watch.
I only
He
saw.
does the same thing. Like, there's a murder. He closes all the doors. Let's figure this out. That sort of. It's
Man,
that style.
He's making these like Poirot movies on like a factory assembly with like big name actors, and I'm not hearing anything about it.
Have you seen Hamlet with him?
I know I brought it up with you before. I have it on my hard drive. I
Yeah.
still have not.
It's a long watch.
It is, but
It's worth watching.
I've been getting into long movies recently. I recently watched a 4-hour Chinese movie, which was actually amazing.
Okay.
And then I'm going to watch an almost 8-hour Hungarian movie,
Wow.
which I hear is actually like a fantastic movie.
Okay.
A little scared to start it though,
Yeah.
because
It's a
it's
big
basically a
commitment.
miniseries.
Right.
But yeah, when it comes to like, I think that now that I'm starting to kind of like feel like I have the patience for slower movies, I'm
Yeah.
like maybe I'll try the Hamlet thing
Yeah.
now, because that's like 4 hours, right?
Yep. And that would be And when I watched it, I was not in the mode for slow movies, and I really liked it.
It sucks you in.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's all the Hamlet stuff in there, but he did a really good job.
He's like the Shakespeare guy in Hollywood.
Yeah. Him and,
Patrick Stewart.
no, what's her name? Names elude me these days. She did the, what's the name of that movie? Will Ferrell. She's writing a book. He's the character.
Oh, Stranger Than Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction. What's the main author in the movie? What's her name as an actress?
Yeah, what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Her and Kenneth Branagh did a ton of stuff together.
Oh, okay. They work together?
Yeah, yeah. So they're kind of out of that same vein. but-
Okay.
Yeah, and then he like acts and directs movies, and
Yeah.
he's killing it. I don't know how he's got to be in his. Gosh, he's got to be in his late 60s now. Probably. His Hamlet. It's like, watch that one. That was
And he was in Tenet, too.
yes,
He's a great actor.
great actor.
Have either of you seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Yes.
I watched that kind of recently. It was really good.
Oh, so good.
It was. I don't know what I was expecting, but
Was that Jim Carrey?
yeah, it
Keep
was like
Yeah.
one of his like more serious roles, and I
Yeah.
really liked it in it. It was really good. Such a
It's
sad movie.
rare that someone like him can recreate themselves in a movie like that and pull it off. And most actors just get stereotyped into like a certain genre, and he was able to pull out of that and create a few movies that were like legit.
Pretty solid. I did. I feel like Adam Sandler's done that, like with
Oh, yeah.
Uncut Gems and stuff. I've
Uncut
heard
Gems and Punch Drunk Love.
For sure, yeah.
Have
He
you
was
seen
also
Uncut
kind of
Gems?
toying with that with like Spanglish,
Yeah,
which I never saw, but that was earlier than
worth seeing. He's a chef.
that was like early 2000s, I think.
Jack
you
Black's
like
like
food.
kind of like that, but I mean he's. I would say kind of like there's
Because-
like 2 movies.
Yeah, because like he was in The Holiday, which is like a rom-com.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
not my thing.
have I seen him in anything serious?
I can look it up. He was in Jumanji. That's that's serious.
Nacho Libre,
That is serious. Okay.
a very serious role.
Which is based on a real character, I guess.
Yeah,
What?
I think it's true.
Yeah,
Really?
some dude that wanted to be
Probably,
a,
probably loosely, but yeah,
loose, very loosely.
Some guy who was this and wanted to become this.
Need to borrow your sweats.
And I remember, I was very young, but I remember you guys just like quoting that movie incessantly after
Yeah.
you saw it. It was like Napoleon Dynamite.
That
all
and
over
Napoleon
again.
Dynamite.
Yeah. What a,
Gentleman Bronco. Have you seen Gentleman Bronco?
no, that was like his other movie he made.
It's so
right?
hard to find. You just can't find it. So
I know
funny.
some people really love that one, and I only learned about it like recently.
I've looked
I didn't
it up. I
realize
can't
he,
find it anywhere. You can't buy it. You can't rent it. It's just
I didn't realize he had like made anything else after Napoleon Dynamite. Which, like, going back and watching some of those Napoleon Dynamite scenes, I'm like, this feels like a '90s indie movie.
yes.
And that came out in like 2003 or 4 or something, and like everyone saw it. That was such a weird phenomenon. I didn't quite understand it as a kid.
The first time I watched it, I thought it was dumb. I'm like, this is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? And then someone's like, you need to watch it 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I don't watch anything 2 or 3 times.
You need to
if I
watch it
don't like
high.
Right, yeah, pretty much. So then I did. I watched it again, and then the third time I'm like, this is freaking hilarious.
Well, because it's kind of like a shock. Because when you watch it, I mean, like I said, it feels like a '90s indie movie that someone like made with their
It's
friends
like, what the hell's going on?
in like in Kansas or something.
In
where they're-
Kansas, like, yeah.
And then, so after the initial shock
Yeah.
wears off, when you watch it again, you kind of start to get the subtleties of it.
Have you seen, what's his name, Heater?
John Heater?
John Heater? He's made a comeback, and he's doing commercials now for, what's the company? It's a company that was in the Tater Tots, Ore-Ida. He's doing commercials for Ore-Ida now.
Really?
Hilarious.
Wow.
Where he's like standing there in front of like a potato field, and he talks about, leave my tots alone or whatever. It's like so funny. It's like
Oh yeah.
brilliant, brilliant advertising. I love advertising like that.
I have seen him pop up in my Instagram feed every now and then, and it's always like pictures of him with Uncle Rico and Pedro, the actors, just like out in the wild having fun.
Or they'll be at like Vegas in the casino. They're like, hey, so we're here just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's like Bryan
Why-
Cranston there.
why
and Paul.
can't I run
It's like,
into you?
They just hanging out in real life. Yeah.
If I could run into those guys, I'd be like, I'll buy you drinks. Let's hang out.
There are a good handful of like specific movies where the cast are still like friends and they really like that they were part of that project. Like
Super cool.
like Back to the Future, I'm always seeing Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd together.
Which is so cool.
A lot of the Office cast are still always hanging out together. They have their podcasts.
Breaking Bad with
Breaking Bad, yep. Bryan Cranston and Paul.
I mean, they have a company together.
They do. Yeah. Tequila.
Yeah.
I had another one.
I think a lot of shows do that because I mean, like shows, like they're so long. I mean, they work together for so long, especially if it's like pretty like two main characters, a couple main characters.
Watching like Steve Martin or Martin Short or like the Monty Python guys like banter back and forth, like these old guys just like giving each other grief.
It's glorious.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I'll be like, I was sad when we lost Norm, but I'll be sad when we lose John Cleese.
He's getting old.
He's getting old, but
And he's
man,
conservative, and he's like spicy. He's fun to watch. Like, I don't know if you've seen recent stuff, like the stuff. He's just saying all the quiet parts out. When you get that old, it's like, F it. I'm just gonna say all the quiet parts out loud.
Sure.
Which I appreciate.
Dad, you've seen the Book of Eli, right?
One of my favorite movies.
Okay, because I want to watch.
Top 5.
I want to watch that.
We talked about that like an episode or two ago, I
Yeah.
think. Because I brought up the Fahrenheit thing about people like memorizing like
Mhm.
the Bible and stuff.
Yeah.
Is he blind in the movie, or is he?
He is nuclear blast blinded.
Oh, okay.
So he has reduced vision.
Okay.
Carries a machete.
Uh huh.
It's such a good movie.
Okay, I'll put it on the list because I want
Like
to watch
every
it.
time you watch it, it's like I get more and more of what's going on here. Like originally, it's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the protagonist, the antagonist,
And the bad guy.
is looking for the Bible. Why is he looking for the Bible? And then, but then he quotes the Bible. He's got this machete, and like sometimes he intervenes and help people. Sometimes he doesn't. Like what's going on there? You watch it 2 or 3 times, like I get it. It's like watching Signs. It took me 2 or 3 times watching Signs before I realized exactly what the actual like storyline was supposed to be. It has nothing to do with aliens, right?
Yeah.
It's his redeeming his faith and all of that, right? But it took me a couple times because like the aliens were like
The big part.
super creepy and weird, and probably some of the best alien iconography in film. Probably still to this day, like when the aliens like walking across and the kids are like speaking in Spanish and like pointing out, and then the thing walks past and everybody like freaks out.
That was like
Joaquin Phoenix is like freaking out in the
one of the most terrifying scenes in a movie I saw as a child ever.
yeah,
It was so scary.
so well done.
Yeah, it's like the middle of the day, and I'm like watching it like in our living room, and I'm reacting just like Joaquin Phoenix was.
Like I kind of pissed my pants a little bit. Yeah.
But like, Shyamalan understood. Like, this is what I really respect about, in particular, I think some of his earlier films did this better. Is obviously he loved Hitchcock and understood a lot of what Hitchcock did and why he did it, and he kind of understood like the Jaws principle with Signs, where it's like you don't show the monster until like absolutely have to,
Yep.
because it's all about the mystery and the lead up, and that little bit right there, where it's like you get to see the monster kind of halfway through the movie,
Right.
and it's just like this little like blurry second, but it's this humanoid dark figure,
Yep.
which we've talked about like analog horror before. Like that's kind of what analog horror
Yeah.
is doing now, where it's like you got all the Slenderman stuff, and it's like this just tall, lanky figure was
Yeah.
so menacing.
Yep.
And it was such a different way to do like an alien kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you don't see anything else of the aliens until like the fingers under the door, or like the reflection in the picture frame.
Yep. And that's all you get to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's glorious.
Yeah.
So well done.
And even when it actually does finally like show the alien holding, was it the girl or the boy?
It was the boy. He's got like asthma or something.
It's like in shadow. Like you can't quite like. What am I looking at?
Yeah.
It's like that is exactly how you do your reveals. That's really good.
And then Joaquin Phoenix beats up with a baseball bat, which is like the
Gosh.
cool scene.
Like
Do it again.
cathartic
and
scene,
again.
man.
Yeah, wasn't he a baseball player
Yeah.
in the? Yeah, he was like he used to be a baseball player. So he gets his bat
And
off
that
the
was
wall.
his redemption.
Like in
Yeah.
high school or college, but then for some reason,
he swung when he shouldn't have, right?
Right.
And that cost him.
like Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like his redemption was like now he finally gets to swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to rewatch
Gosh, what a great
Signs.
storyline.
We need to rewatch Signs. Actually, keep forgetting about that.
Probably my first or second favorite movie.
Its only problem is that the aliens show up with incredible technology and like ships that can become invisible, but they don't realize that our planet is made up of like 70% that which
Water.
kills them.
Makes no sense.
It's like that's the one thing we're like, wait a second.
Yeah. Glass of water is going to kill you.
But I also like how like the glass of waters are all over the house.
and
'cause
that
of the
I think
kid.
that was like his intention of,
Yes.
of again like wrapping up a
Bring it
side.
around. Yeah.
Yes, like this
This
like
kid
kind of
keeps
divine appointment of like you're surrounded by water and it
Her,
will,
her neuroses,
right,
losing her mom, was their saving grace.
and his lungs being closed
Right.
to the poison, all that stuff.
All
So
that stuff.
like I know why he did it, but like he could have maybe thought for like a split, like
Agreed.
make it be like she really likes lemonade
Right.
and like citric acid kills
Yes,
them or something.
exactly.
And it would have fixed it, but
wasn't the water because like one of the kids was like, oh, I can see the little like microorganisms and it's like this one's bad. I have to
Yep.
get a new glass of water.
Yeah.
and she would just leave them around. And
This
didn't-
one's contaminated.
didn't
Yeah.
want to put them away or whatever.
Yeah.
Which that was Abigail Breslin,
Mm,
the girl from Little Miss Sunshine.
good night. Makes me feel old. So,
Dom's not going to make it, is he?
probably not. We'll see.
Okay.
I mean, he was at Hotchkiss not that long ago. No updates.
Have you seen Glorious Bastards at all?
Inglorious.
Or
Bastards.
Yeah.
Inglorious, yeah.
Right.
It's a Quentin Tarantino film.
Have you seen any Tarantino? Kill Bill.
Oh, I need to watch Kill Bill.
I've seen about half of Kill Bill. And I think it was we started watching it, couldn't finish it for some reason, sort of situation.
I remember we were in
It was
a.
pretty,
It is probably one of his more violent
very violent.
movies. Yeah.
And I don't remember why we didn't finish it.
I remember we were in some sort of restaurant in Jackson Hole when we were up in when we were going to Yellowstone, and I just remember just the TV was just playing Kill Bill, so I was just watching part of it. Yeah,
In a restaurant.
yeah, in a restaurant, just playing Kill
I mean,
Bill.
it makes sense.
I was like,
Very appetizing movie.
Yeah.
to
like
watch.
okay, like this is kind of interesting. Like, I don't think it was any of the gory parts, but
The
it was
kitchen
like
scene where her and the other chick are like fighting it out with their samurai swords.
Mhm.
Brutal.
I heard it's a good samurai movie.
At the very least, it's like kind of comic booky.
Was Uma Thurman?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like because it is sort of tongue in cheek, it's not like a Saw movie where like the violence is like dark and grisly.
And I don't mind some violence, but if it's just the point of the movie is violence,
Mhm.
I have no interest.
Sure,
Like,
I agree.
yeah,
Which
I'm out.
the scenes in the Kill Bill movies that are more violent are my least favorite scenes.
Okay.
They're like cool set pieces. Like there's a really cool big like dojo
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
later on in the first movie. That's pretty cool. But some of my favorite scenes are just like the long drawn out dialogue scenes.
But like,
Tarantino's great at dialogue.
Years ago, Andrew and I did a personal development class. It was in San Diego. And it was in a hotel, but they set up this conference room as a giant dojo. And we were given, man, I'll have to ask Andrew about this. Like, it's so blurry now because it was so crazy. But we were given specific instructions. We were on teams. It was kind of like chess. And you had to take out the other team using these rules in this dojo with very specific rules. It was one of the wildest things I've ever done, to the point like it's almost a blur now. It's like, that was crazy that we did that.
What kind of things?
I mean, he was like, you have to get close to someone, and then it was like chess. Something happens, and then that person has to kneel down on the floor.
Okay.
It was like that, but with people you don't know. I'll have to ask Andrew. It's like it was pretty wild. But speaking of dojos, like I've been in that situation. So speaking of tall, gangly characters, I'm reading. Getting back to the books we're reading, I'm reading Skinwalkers at the Pentagon.
At the Pentagon?
Now we're talking.
It's the same guys that wrote the book, something like The Search for Skinwalkers or something like that, but it's based on the Skinwalker Ranch. And so they go over like all the Tic Tac stuff, all the stuff the Pentagon's released, but all the guys
The
that were
new book?
new are like 2023, like super, like last year. So it's all the recent stuff, and they even talk about Robert Bigelow that used to own Skinwalker Ranch. Now Brandon Fugel owns Skinwalker Ranch, but they go over like there's a group of guys, government guys, that were sent to the ranch to observe a few things, and they left. Every single one of them, at their home, started experiencing like floating, glowing orbs, and then like shadow beings standing over their bed. And a lot of it was like their kids and their wives experienced that.
Huh.
Like they call it a hitchhiker phenomenon, where like you go and experience something and you bring it home to your family.
Right.
And these people are like thousands of miles away from Skinwalker Ranch, bringing this back to their home, which is super weird and creepy.
Yeah, the logistics of how that works is beyond me.
And from someone that like, from biblically speaking, like I have no way to explain that. Because Skinwalker Ranch is weird. There's weird stuff that happens. Maybe there's portals. Maybe there's like, I don't even know, dogmen out there.
How the metaphysical interacts with the physical is so fascinating to me.
I think we have a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah.
And if we actually knew what was going on, it'd probably freak us the hell out.
Because it's not like it's just like, oh, you enter the physical world wherever you want, where it's like, oh, I want to go do this now.
Right.
It's like there are physical ties. Like you go to a place, an entity like connects itself physically to you in some way, and you bring it somewhere else.
Hell no.
Like, how does, like, that is nuts.
And like, as a Christian or a pastor, a theologian, how do you explain that? I mean, what is going on? And everyone wants to like, oh, it's demons. I've read a book on it. What are demons? It's not that simple.
Right.
It's not just like, oh, it's a fallen angel. Like, demons are not fallen angels. How do you explain that? It's so weird. Like,
It's really cool.
because we've had issues here at the house where Riley and Nora, you guys were both hearing people calling your name or something.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because they assume that like kids will be more agreeable and impressionable?
It's possible, which is extra creepy. Riley, do you remember that?
Yeah, no, it was. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I hear things. Like even yesterday, I thought one of my coworkers was calling me, but they weren't. But like, I think it just there's a lot of noise happening. But the fact that this was like I was literally like almost like awake. I was like partially asleep, almost awake, and it was clear as day. Like really freaked me out. And it was like.
Then you happened to mention to us, then we asked Nora, and she's like experiencing the same thing. Like,
she experienced it like a day or so earlier.
Yeah.
But basically what happened, I've probably told this before, but I was in my room, my door was partially open, I think I was just kind of sleeping in, like it was not really early in the morning, everybody else was up. I was sleeping there, and then I just heard I was hearing talking like downstairs, and I was like kind of that in between state of consciousness and unconsciousness, you know. I was like, okay, people are here, you know, like Nora's probably talking to mom, or there might be somebody over. And I literally, like, to the right of my bed, I'm like turned that way. I hear, like, right next to my ear, Riley, but in Sean's voice, Nora's boyfriend.
Right.
I don't know why specifically him, but like Riley, like right in my ear is really loud. So I freaking jump out of bed, because it's like right next to me. I heard it clear as day. I run out, and I go back and look at my room. I run out on the bridge, because it freaking, like, scared me. And I go back in, and like he's not there, and he wasn't there at all.
I like that you call it the bridge.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I was like, I peered around. I was like seeing if it was hiding, but like Sean would never do that though. And I was like, that was so weird. Like somebody just freaking said my name, and that's how I wake up.
And like, what do you think that the motivation behind that would be?
so I've thought a lot about that, because I've listened to probably, probably 500 podcast episodes on Sasquatch and Skinwalker Ranch stuff.
From all these different ones
Yeah.
that you listened to.
So even the Anasazi that were down in Cortez, Cliff Dwellings,
yeah.
that mysteriously disappeared, we don't know where they went. In some of their old tales, they talked about a trickster. This individual that would come up from the stars and would gamble with them and then would trick them and would move stuff around, mess with them. In Skinwalker Ranch, they talked about this. So the people that lived on Skinwalker Ranch,
Like a poltergeist.
they talked about, like, I'd come home, bring my groceries in the house, put them all in the cupboard, then I'd come back an hour later, all the groceries are back out on the counter.
It's the chairs stacked up in Poltergeist, man.
It's that. That's where they got that from. Was from that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So they didn't make that up. That came from personal experience.
Yeah.
Or the gentleman that owns Skinwalker Ranch, he's like, hey, have you guys seen my post hole digger? No, we haven't seen it, Dad. Sorry. He's like,
yeah.
I left it outside against the fence. No, we haven't seen it. He goes out there. It's like 20 feet up in the tree. Like someone threw it up there.
It's like that's a big piece of equipment too.
Huge piece of equipment.
And that was
It's trickster stuff. Why would something do that just to mess with you? There's nothing nefarious. They're not killing anybody or maiming anybody. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna mess with you.
yeah.
You lay your towel and your brush on the counter, you get in the shower, you get back out, they're gone, and they're in the kitchen. Serves no purpose other than just messing with you.
That was what was so chilling about that scene in Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Was like there's zero music, zero sound, like pans away from the dining room table, and when she turns back around, all the chairs are stacked
Such a
up like a
great
pyramid,
scene.
completely quiet.
Yep.
And you're like, I mean, it'd be the same thing seeing something like that up in the tree. It's like,
The only purpose is to mess with you.
why? That's insane,
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. Like it's not really doing any harm except for like psychologically scaring you.
No one got harmed.
Golly.
I got psychologically scared right there.
Just for a second.
That was a poltergeist.
Yeah.
That's
But
wild stuff.
same thing, like people that experience like sleep paralysis, or they're waking up and hear someone say their name and there's no one there. It's like, what's that accomplishing other than just freaking you out?
Maybe the demon knew that hearing your sister's boyfriend's voice right next to you in your bedroom was the scariest thing you could imagine.
It scares me.
I mean, like it wasn't even like it was just Sean. Well, like I just it sounded like Sean's voice, but it was just like if any voice was there, like right in my ear, I'm like that would wake me up, you know.
And like
Why was Sean?
That could have just been like
A one-off.
you half asleep or something, but for Nora to corroborate it
Within a day.
independently.
Yeah. What did she
Is-
experience? Like, was it like?
She was hearing someone call her name or something similar, which she's just down the hall.
Yeah.
And you
I'll
heard
have to
your-
ask her.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that when Nora said that.
And at the same time, the reason I asked was I was experiencing sleep paralysis.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like start to wake up and I felt like someone was pinning me down to the bed. I couldn't move. The creepiest one, which I probably have not
How many times have you had sleep paralysis?
a dozen times, if
Oh.
not more, over the years. Different houses for different seasons
I
of
don't
life.
think I've ever had it.
Sleep paralysis freaks me out.
I'd probably know if I did, right?
You would know if you did.
Okay, then I have.
Yeah, ask Kaylee. She'll tell you.
Okay.
I think she's had it. She's told me.
Okay.
Yeah. Creepiest was, I would say early morning, but not super early, like probably 5 or 6 in the morning. Like, you know, you might wake up and then like, oh, it's early, I'm going to go back to bed. Remember waking up, starting to go back to sleep, and then I feel something pull me. And I actually felt like there was a presence there at the end of the bed, pulling me to the edge of the bed to the point of like, they're pulling me towards them. I wake up, I'm halfway down my bed.
It's weird.
Did I just do that? Like, I don't want to
Right.
go into stuff, but
Yeah.
super creepy. Then there was other times where Mom and we got some CBD gummies. They were sleep gummies. I think it was a bad batch. Everyone that took those had like
Your bad nightmares.
really bad nightmares, like horror movie, slasher, murderous, like decapitation dreams. It was me, it was Andrea, it was like Dr. Daniel, his wife, and I think someone else. And it was these gummies that we got from Charlotte's Web, which is an online company you can order from.
Wow.
It was like a hot batch.
They should have gone with Johnny Apple CBD.
Yes. It's like, dang.
That's crazy.
To the point Andrea won't take them anymore. She's like, that was freaky. Like when you have dreams of like, it was like slasher movies. It was horrible.
I am.
Like
So
what causes a dream like that?
I know that people like such a meme to joke or to talk about DMT anymore, but I sometimes wonder, like, okay, is this just like crazy levels of like hallucination and like body chemical influence that's making this seem real, or is a physical substance actually like allowing us to experience something more metaphysical? You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know which it is. The latter is more interesting and intriguing to me, but because I mean I know that like how your body feels can affect how your soul feels.
Yep.
If you have chronic pain, you're probably going to be more prone to anger and impatience and all that kind of stuff, right?
From what I've read, almost everyone in what I've read that have experienced themselves on DMT say that they also experience what they would say is aliens visiting them, talking to them, and warning of some sort of apocalyptic, like the Earth is coming to an end, climate crisis issue.
Do they experience this independently, or do they know that this is something that happens when they take it?
When they take it.
So they kind of know to expect this might happen? Okay.
So what is that? Like, why would everyone have the same or similar experience? Like, Joe Rogan talks a lot about it. Others I've heard from, I'm like, I might be interested in taking that or using it. But then you hear other stuff. It's like everyone has a weird same experience. Like, beings come and talk to them in their trance and in their state. It's like, that's weird.
It is weird.
It's really weird. And they all almost have the same apocalyptic like message. It's like, that's creepy. And who are those beings? Which you can get into like religious conversations about angels, demons, fallen angels.
You're back.
It's weird.
It is very weird. It's infinitely fascinating to me, though.
Because Joe Rogan, he's all about like whether you use like ayahuasca or whatever it is. And then you listen to the Dave Paulides with the 411. A lot of the missing people that are actually recovered and usually are dead and found in water, when they recover their bodies, they have high levels of the substance that's used for date rape. I can't remember what it's called.
Really? Like the roofie drug?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which our bodies produce in a very minute amount.
Okay.
But a lot of the people that are recovered, especially men, and a lot of them are in the UK, they're found in canals face down in water. They went missing, they left a bar, but they weren't like, you know, belligerently drunk or whatever.
And they're just like normal people.
Normal people left the bar, but they left by themselves. They always leave by themselves. And then they go missing, and then a couple days later they're found face down in water. And then they test their blood, and they have the, like, I mean, usually high quantity of this substance.
What are the side effects or symptoms of this substance?
You,
Like, what does the date rape drug do? Does it just make you sleepy?
you
Does
become fairly paralyzed,
it? Okay, so it's hard to move. Okay.
but you're conscious the whole time.
I didn't actually know what it did. Like, if it just made you more agreeable, if it knocked you out.
Some people that have claimed to be abducted by aliens, this gets, obviously we're on a branch here, but tens of
branches.
thousands of people have claimed to be abducted by aliens, to the point Michael Heiser, he's like, there's so many cases we can't refute that people are abducted.
Could you rotate that screen so I can see perfect. Thank you.
Looks good. So even Michael Heiser, which is a great theologian, he's not into like, well, he's in his own weird stuff, but like alien stuff, he's not ventured into that much. But he said there's so many cases of people saying they were abducted that if even one case were true, it blows the lid on all of what we think about everything. And a lot of these people that were supposedly alien abducted, get their blood work later, they have this substance in their blood. And a lot of the alien abductees say that they get abducted, they like out of their room, and they're paralyzed. They can't move, and then like things are done to them in all various ways. There's one guy who said a needle was pushed into his head. He couldn't move. He couldn't do anything about it. And the date rape drug, roofies, would do that. And then he ends up in his bed the next day. This is a documentary Nora and I watched. The next day, he has a bloody scab on the side of his head. He's like, yeah, that's where they put the needle in. And his wife's like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. But if you wanted to like incapacitate someone, give them this drug. They literally like can't move, but they're conscious the whole time. So they experience everything.
I didn't know this was something our bodies made.
Yep. If I could remember the substance, that would be amazing.
The doctor, ladies
I
and
know.
gentlemen.
I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, but
Right. So, like, the question you would ask is, like, are they being administered a lot of this, or are they being, is their body being affected to the point where they're, like, making a
they
bunch
crank
of
a bunch out. That's possible too. Like
Yeah.
I'm open to all that.
Yeah,
Like I'm not trying to advocate for one thing or the other, but
right.
it's weird.
Well, it's hard to, like, imagine someone administering it to them in any circumstance, right?
Any person.
It also kind of begs the question, like, do these entities know more about our bodies than we do, and our makeup, and how we function?
It would appear. Then the question is like, well, who or what are these entities, and why do they know so much?
And if they have been around for millennia with all this knowledge, it's like that's another question, is like, have any of these metaphysical beings been like vanquished, or do they just exist?
So, I don't know if we talked about this a while ago with Dominic. They had all the disclosures during the, I don't remember what it was, a congressional hearing, but it was a specific committee, and they interviewed a whistleblower and then some other individuals, and they were talking about the fact that we not only have downed craft, we have biological beings. Again, as a Christian, it's like, what are the beings? You have flesh and blood, I guess. You have biologics of a thing inside a craft. What is that?
Also, like, as a Christian, I'm incredibly dubious of, well, not as a Christian, as a person, I'm incredibly dubious of the government and their intent anyway.
Yep.
And so, like, any revelation, I'm like, even if the government says, like, yes, we have been communicating with UFOs since 1952,
Right.
and blah, 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 blah,
Really?
I'd be like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe you. Like, I'd rather just, like, kind of withhold any kind of judgment or belief on this one.
Agreed.
Because, like, I don't feel like I can examine Christianity front to back because, like, I have all the history in front of me, but, like, this thing is obfuscated in
Right.
secrecy, so, like, I don't know if I can trust what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, like, even if the government comes out and says UFOs exist, it's like, I don't know if I believe you.
Right.
I might.
Totally.
I'm interested, but, like,
Yeah.
that doesn't impact me as a Christian a whole lot.
And what's your motivation to tell us now?
Exactly. I don't know. Some people think that maybe it's kind of like covering up things that could be, I don't know, kind of like slowly getting people ready to be ready for a bigger revelation, you know?
I could
Or
see
something
that.
they fear might be a revelation that's coming that they don't have any kind of... It's like, oh, the aliens want to reveal themselves to humans by 2050. I guess we better get ready. I don't know.
And if you listen to the Left Behind crowd, you know, they would say, oh, they're just getting you ready for like the Antichrist and the rapture, and it's going to be this big illusion/delusion. It's like, it's more complicated. Which, I mean, we've talked about that. I've changed my theology. I'm not a huge rapture guy. Like, that's very recent theology.
Pre-tribulation.
Yes.
Is recent.
Yeah. Very recent.
I'm post-trib.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where the whole preterist thing is really interesting to me, but I haven't...
Which Dom should be.
I know.
It's
Pick his
terrible.
brains on it. I find it really fascinating. I don't know. It seems fringe, just from a vibe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's just my pre-trib upbringing talking, but I just kind of feel like generally post-trib now.
Yeah.
I don't like looking at the actual biblical text about Jesus' second coming. I don't see anything that points to pre-trib at all.
I don't either. I really don't.
Yeah, it's just like his second coming and the rapture of the church feel like two sides of the same coin to me.
Yeah.
Just like little.
He returns in the clouds, welcomes his church back to him. That's all one event.
That's what it seems like looking at the Bible.
Yeah.
To me.
People think otherwise?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
My parents. Our parents.
My parents.
Well-meaning.
What are those?
Love cigarettes.
Have you had one?
Yes.
They're glorious.
Go on.
For a little, like,
Maybe. Maybe.
they make your numbs.
My numbs? My lungs?
Make your lips numb. Yeah, they're great.
I have to inhale, don't I? Do you inhale?
I don't think I do.
Oh, okay.
This thing's turned up.
So when I was in high school, I went to a Christian school, and we had a couple of bad characters in our class, and they were all into clove cigarettes. So this goes way back.
Okay.
So I'm in Cornerstone Christian School. They're like, hey, if you take cloves and you like wrap them, what do you wrap them in? Paper? I don't even know. And you smoke them, like it makes your lips tingle. It's dumb.
Just straight cloves?
So we did that. It was like full on like cloves, wrapped in paper. You know?
Didn't work.
Need a little more.
A little more. What were we just talking about?
The rapture.
Rapture, yeah. Yeah, so there was a thing called the Schofield Reference Bible that came out in the late 80s or something like that?
I have
Or
one.
the late 1800s, I should say.
I have one.
You have one? I think I have one too. And if I'm not mistaken, it was just a normal Bible that had like various references in it and like commentary.
Yeah.
And it was kind of pushing this like pre-tribulation rapture view that said that like before things got really bad, the church would be taken out by Jesus, and then bad things happened, and then everything else. And that's what our parents still believe.
Yep.
And
That's why I have a Schofield Bible.
yeah, probably. I don't know where I got mine. I don't know if it came from mom and dad or not, but I have one on my shelf.
Mine did.
And so, fine, whatever, growing up thinking that that's how it was because mom and dad thought that way. And then dating Haley, finding out that her parents were like, oh, we don't know. We don't think the rapture will happen then. It will happen like after the tribulation. Like, what? Why? This is like genuinely like,
Yeah.
I'd never heard a different
Never
opinion
heard of
on
that.
that before. And so, they were just like, we just don't see that in the Bible. And I was like, oh, okay, and just kind of like shrugged it off. And then later, as I got into theology, came across it again and like looked into it, read the passages, and like, it's not here. It's just not here.
It's not.
It's just like wishful thinking, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, God bless mom and dad. I feel like it was part of this like fire and brimstone evangelism that was happening at the time. Which it's like mom and dad are like scared of our unbelieving siblings
Yes.
having to go through the tribulation of all things,
Right.
let alone whatever comes after. But like, there's a really odd fixation on like, be ready for the rapture.
Right.
It's just a really strange like linchpin of the Christian culture at the time.
It is, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. It got really popular. It's not founded really in Scripture. Is it Darby?
Yeah,
Darby kind of started the whole movement.
like John Darby or something.
Schofield kind of took it out.
Mhm.
Like I said, that's my first Bible, which I still have. The thing is duct taped together. I used to drive a motorcycle, or ride a motorcycle. It fell the back of my motorcycle.
Oh no.
I mean, that's probably 1920 at the time. Someone drove over it. I think they called me. They like looked me up, because my name was in the Bible. Hey, I think I have your Bible. Thanks. I went to their house, picked it up. So I still have that Bible. It has tread marks. So a book, it's on its end. It has like all the pages. It has tread marks up the pages.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
The binding broke on it, so I duct taped it to bring the binding back. But it's an old Schofield Bible. And so back to your point. I'm sorry, that's a long.
No, it's fine.
I love long stories.
That's funny.
But back to your point, it's like that's such like recent theology. There's really nothing to support that.
You said you've talked with people about it, like that. It's something like that, and the like, how old the universe is versus
Right.
like, did God use evolution, whatever. Like those are the two ends of
Yeah.
the Bible where people are like, we don't really talk about that a whole lot because it's controversial. But like, what do people feel about like the rapture? Like, do a lot of people still kind of hold to pre-trib, or
I would say
that's like an
most-
upbringing thing?
It is. Most evangelicals I talk to still subscribe to that,
Okay.
but they can't really explain why. It's just that's how it is, right? Like, but why? They have no clue, and that's fine. I'm not going to bust people's chops over stuff like that because I was there too.
Sure.
But I think the other part of that is like you're brought up in a certain way and you've not thought it through, and then someone brings up a compelling argument against, their whole faith is like challenged. That's really weird. Like that shouldn't be. And again, if you realize this is a fairly recent theology, like this is doesn't date back that far. Even if you said that, they'd be like, their mind would be blown. It's like, it's okay. Like, God's still on the throne, Jesus is still God, it's all still cool. But
Well, you realize people don't really order their beliefs in any kind of
I don't know.
Jordan Peterson hierarchy.
I try to give them all the credit.
Right. I mean, like, I was once kind of that way too, a little bit, but
Oh, I was too.
it's
for sure.
it also shows that like you have not thought about why you believe what you believe.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, here's the package deal from my parents. These are the things that are going to happen, and which in some ways kind of lazy parenting, because I think that like kids should also like learn the other arguments and the other belief systems, and like have us teach them why they're maybe inferior or not to be as trusted.
So something I've realized over the years is most people are reactionary.
Sure.
It's unoriginal, but it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I see this, I was raised this way, I'm going to react to it, and then I'll end up here.
Mm-hmm.
It's so common.
Doesn't matter what you believe.
Doesn't matter what you believe.
Everyone's like,
And that's just human psychology, right? So I think most Christians that were raised evangelical either double down on that it's got to be like pre-trib or nothing,
or
it
just walk away from the faith
or
completely.
it rocks their world and walk away from their faith.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that is Christians that were raised evangelical then get sort of woke. Not our term, their term. They turned woke. Then they just walk away from a lot of that and like double down into like very progressive politics as a reaction to how they were raised. Which again, it's you want to talk about someone that's like very original. Like, I was here, I read a bunch of stuff, I thought for myself, I landed here. Cool. But if you're like here, and then I got frustrated with that, I'm reacting to that, I'm looking for a alternative to that, I found it and it's over here, that's just reactionary politics and theology.
I call it the pendulum effect.
I see so many Christians do that. Like we're the Christian left, or we're the Christian woke. Where did that come from?
Just because you're overcorrecting into something else because you didn't like one thing.
Your dad was a jerk, or your parents like talked about such and such and it didn't work with you. I get that. I get it. But
yeah, like talking about the Mormon thing earlier. It's way more common for people who leave the Mormon religion to just become agnostic or atheist than to become a vanilla Christian.
It's just easier. Just exit all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, granted, yeah, you're going to have a lot of probably bad baggage with these Mormon families and, you know, the things that go on behind the scenes and with the church. But, like, your response to that shouldn't be like, oh, I just throw out belief altogether and don't believe anything.
Right.
It's like, there was something about this that maybe you really liked at one point, and maybe this thing that you're in is like a bastardization of the real thing.
You're overreacting to the point of non-belief.
Right.
Which you should overreact, or you should react to the point of, I'm going to recenter on what I think is true. But instead it's like, God's real, Jesus is real, but the church did something I didn't like, so now I'm an atheist. It's like, that's a huge jump. But people do it all the time.
People being hurt by the church turns them into non-believers way more than it should, in my opinion.
It's so unfortunate.
Like that happens a lot with women because they're so emotionally led that like if they are hurt by the church, that will impact their worldview. I've seen that way more with women than with guys.
It seems like people that are led to more logic, they can kind of sort through some of that and find a place that fits home. It's not too far off, but people that are emotionally led, they end up almost like the exact opposite, which is, it's so unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. What do you think?
I don't know. I do think it's. I do think. I've definitely seen online a lot, like with like girls that are like, they don't think they can ever become Christian because of how they were hurt, you know, and stuff. Guys don't hold the same grudge, I feel like, but they're definitely like, oh, this one thing happened in my past with my family and stuff, and it's like I have like religious trauma or something. And
Religious trauma.
And I'm like, have you tried it again since? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I see it even with like Christians.
Yeah.
Like people who still maintain their faith. Like, being like, oh, like I went to this church and like they really like hurt me, and like they kind of process it in what I think is like a negative way.
Yeah.
Or like you gotta let that go. Like to the point where it's like it's making them not want to go to any other church that is like it.
Right.
Or like completely changing your denominations, or like becoming like a progressive Christian or anything like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Reactionism ain't good.
It's not good because it's not original. Like, it's not like I came up with this idea by myself, on my own, thinking through stuff. It's this happened, so I'm going to do this. It's so unoriginal.
This happened to me, therefore I reject the things that this person espouses.
Yep.
So I go over here.
Yep.
It's math that doesn't add up.
No.
Honestly.
And anyone can do that. It's not hard. But it's still not, it's unoriginal. Like, you didn't come up with that yourself. You just reacted to this thing, say we went the polar opposite. Surprise, surprise, there you are.
Mm-hmm.
And Christians do that a lot, which is unfortunate because where they land tends to be a land where it's not favorable to the unborn. So
Right.
the abortion question. It's not favorable to, Jesus is God on the throne. There's like so many problems with it, but that's where they land, and it's concerning.